All right, it appears that we are live. What's going on, guys? What's going on? People in the 27 squad, welcome into another edition of the officially named Young Guns podcast. I'll tell you right now, man, it is growing on me. The name, the Young Guns podcast, I like it. It's growing on me a lot. And if anybody out there, before I introduce my co-host here, if anybody out there wants to help make a logo, because I had that before and that's how I came up with my logo. If anybody out there wants to make a logo, make sure you DM me on Instagram or Twitter, and then we'll start pitching off ideas. And you can also for the hub as well. So whoever you guys want to contact, you guys can do that. But what's going on, everybody? Kush, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing, bro? Of course, we got the Young Guns podcast going, as you said. The name, I can't remember who suggested it, to be honest with you, but I know
Right.
it was a sub.
Right.
Somebody suggested it, and it was a great name. And yo, listen, we got some things to talk about. Of course, you mentioned a great idea there with the subs making the logo, but we got some serious stuff to talk about, man.
We do have some serious things to talk about. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. It's going to help out the algorithm. And make sure you go to my man's The Hub, the channel in the description. Make sure you guys sub him up. His link should be there. I put it in there before I left. But yeah, also that hashtag destroying to NYG. Make sure you guys get that trending on Twitter, man. You know how happy I would be. That guy goes to my local park.
He does?
All the videos, yeah, the north.
Cause oh yeah, you told me about that. Cause when you
Yeah.
made your vid in that park, I recognized it. And
Right.
I still am subscribed to Destroying on my personal account, but I haven't. I'll be honest with you, I haven't checked out any of his vids in like about 2 years or so.
I'll be honest. I haven't checked out any of his vids since like a year ago when I was trying to see if he was there at the park.
Exactly. Oh, and also real quick, you should get to Mike Nixon's super chat.
Right. So Mike Nixon, I want to give a huge shout out to Mike Nixon, always being a great subscriber. We weren't even on live. We weren't even live streaming, and he's already putting in the donations. I appreciate that, man. Mike Nixon with a $10 super chat. He says, "Here you go, Kid Blue. Buy yourself some Grand Crate with this. Thanks for being a friend to me, for wishing me well when I had a mini stroke. And man, we gotta link up someday, bro, and talk football for hours, man." Mike, you are an amazing subscriber. I can't say enough about you, man. I'm extremely grateful that we have that I am blessed to have a supporter like you, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, always whenever you're in need, man, hit me up. Whenever you need someone, hit me up, man. You're a good guy, bro. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. I want to give a quick shout out to Harrison Jolly, Jordan Horn, Jaden Hawkins, Kevin Cronin. Wolves is in the building. So yeah, man, we have a topic to talk about. Here I am, thinking about this podcast. What should we talk about? What kind of topic should we talk about? And Algie Grosshouse would say, "Hey, man, say less. Say less. I'll give you something to
Bro.
talk about." Seems like the Giants are always on the headlines and on ESPN, on NFL Network for the wrong reason. So, Hub, give us the rundown, bro. Give us the
Bro,
rundown.
I won't even lie to you, because yesterday I was thinking about the podcast. I was like, yo, the news cycle's been dry, and it's like, you know what? I think we all know it's been dry because of COVID for about a couple months now. But I was
Right.
like, damn, it's been really dry this week. And I'm like, and within the span of 24 hours, the NFC East just went wild with Zeke and the Cowboys and COVID, and Brandon Brooks going out for the Eagles, and then the football gods continue to curse the Giants with Algebra Crosas. And I actually texted KB right away. I was like, yo, so we just got a topic for tonight, bro. I was like, he low key blessed us. But on a more serious note, I was so surprised. In fact, I thought it was fake when I first saw it on Twitter, because I was chilling at my local park when I saw it. But then I kept seeing more and more tweets as I'm scrolling, and then I saw TMZ put out a tweet. And then I saw it like a New York Post, an article. I was like, all right, this is actually real. And I had to I was so shook. I was so taken aback. I had to do a stream right away in the park from my phone. And the thing that I realized is he has to be off the team, man. It's not something like the DeAndre Baker case where I was very on the fence about it, and I'm on Baker's side, because it's a case that you could actually deliberate a little bit. This is an open and shut thing. You're talking drunk driving and then he T-boned somebody. That's
Right.
open and shut. He was behind the wheel. He was under the influence, and you talking he's going 100 miles an hour. He could have killed somebody. That's not like what happened with DeAndre Baker. He could have legitimately killed somebody. Of course, he was covered in blood when the cops actually apprehended him. That just shows how fast he was going. It's his own blood. he should be off the team. And I like Aldrich Rosas, but this is just stupidity at its finest, and no sympathy for dumb decisions like this, man.
Right, and I completely agree with you. And before I add on to that, Jordan Horn, I want to give a huge shout out to one of my favorite Cleveland Browns fans, Jordan Horn, joining the 27 squad and joining the Diamond tier. All the way at the Diamond tier. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for joining in the membership. Enjoy your perks. I'm actually working on a new video for the members. A quick update and a vlog for you guys on a more personal level, and a little update on The Office that not the public isn't able to see yet. So you will have access to that as well. I appreciate that, Jordan Horn. You also get a discount for the merch if you're interested in the merch. The discount I will post in the community notes for the members. So if you're up for that, but I appreciate that, man. But to add on to what you're saying, man, you're right. I completely thought it was fake too, and I've seen a couple posts about it on Instagram. I follow a lot of Giants news on Instagram, and a lot of people are in speculation as they always jump on news, but. I was just stunned that Aldrich Rosas, reading the story on New York Post, I was stunned that Aldrich Rosas would be capable of doing something like this. Keep in mind, this is 8:25 in the morning, and he's supposedly drunk.
And I think it was yesterday too.
Right, it was yesterday, 8:25 in the morning. Who the hell drinks at that time? Who the hell gets drunk at that time and goes 100 miles an hour on a road, T-bone somebody, and it brings up the question.
He tried to run away too.
Right. And was he going? He wasn't going. He couldn't have been going 100 miles an hour when he hit somebody. Otherwise, he would have imploded and everybody would have just exploded.
That's exactly what I said. I said if it was actually 100 miles an hour, there would have been a death.
Yeah, not only a death, dude. There would just be nothing. I mean, the cars would be like what are those instruments that crumple up. You go, I don't know. But anyway, it would both cars would be just crumple up. Exactly, just paper mache, everything everywhere, right? So I think he was clocked at 100 miles per hour at one point. I don't think he hit anybody at 100 miles an hour. It said he T-boned that person, so there would be no survivors on either side if he hit somebody at 100 miles an hour. In a black SUV, in that Chevy SUV, no survivors.
Aldrich Rosas's SUV is apparently souped up, which I'm not surprised by. A lot of athletes, they like to upgrade, like I guess the armor on their cars, I guess you could call it. So, just going like 70 in a souped-up SUV, a big SUV, is going to kill somebody. I mean, I don't know what... I agree with you. He's probably clocked at it at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think he hit at 100, but it's even more stupid. You have a souped-up car going up against what I guess would be a normal car.
Right, and to have that happen at such an early time in the morning really makes me question what this is not just a stupid mistake like he's a teenager. This is like a mental mindset type of thing. He's don't a grown man. If you're okay in the head, you don't get drunk at 8:25 in the morning and you don't go out and drive your car under the influence at 100 miles an hour at that time, hit somebody, get out the car, bloody hands, you could have killed the other person, didn't check on them, tried to run away, and was caught going back to your vehicle. And he appeared to be under the influence. Now, I haven't seen, maybe you could correct me on this, I haven't seen anybody confirm he was under the influence. It said that he's suspected to be under the influence. Was it confirmed? Because I would assume they would put him on the breathalyzer right away, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Nobody's actually confirmed it yet. It just says alcohol has been suspected, which is weird. I'll say this. There are a couple things weird about the situation. It doesn't take away from the fact that he still did this.
He did. Yeah.
Like, kind of going back to the Baker situation, there's no he said, she said. Dude was behind the wheel of the car. It's clear that the car didn't lose control. He was, the police report says he was driving erratically. Maybe something like, I don't know, his steering wheel lost control or something. But, and now I'm kind of getting into my head, what's the way Aldrich Rosas can get out of this? Nah, there's just so many things wrong with this, because when I found out about it, like, it got worse and worse, right? First I saw that he got arrested. Then I saw it was the drunk driving. Then I saw it was the crash. Then I saw he tried to run away, and then I heard he was driving with a suspended license. It's
suspended
it's like
license.
Even if you try to defend one thing, there's another crime there.
Now it also makes me wonder, why did his license get suspended? Because that means there must have been an incident prior that nobody else knows about, and I think that's a question that should be asked. Why was his license suspended? Because that may have some indication of what he was doing. If he had any prior events that happened in, prior that it may lead to that. So that's very interesting to note. Now, this isn't, you're right, you're completely right, this isn't the DeAndre Baker situation. Now, the DeAndre Baker situation was very, very blurred because a lot of people were just pointing fingers and just trying to get out of trouble, and a lot of people had different motives. And there was not clear-cut evidence of what went on because the police weren't on the scene immediately, as the police, I believe, showed up a couple of hours later. And DeAndre Baker had already left at that time. And it was a lot of he said, she said, a lot of recanted statements as well. But this seems pretty clear cut. The police witnessed the guy trying to get back to his car, and he appeared to have scars, blood everywhere on his hands, his feet, his legs. Obviously he's been in the crash, and I'm pretty sure they ran his license plate on that vehicle and confirmed that it was his vehicle. So
he admitted that he was the
right.
registered owner.
Right, and on his mugshot, he does not look very happy. He looks pretty he looks pretty damaged, pretty beat up.
I won't lie to you, he looks kind of sad.
He looks kind of sad, man, and I'll tell you right now, he was already on thin ice as it is. This guy he's a kicker, right? He's not a first round draft pick. He's not being paid big money like a Justin Tucker would be paid right now, and even so, I mean, they're a kicker. Of course, they're hard to come by in this league, but they're definitely replaceable. What do you think the Giants should do moving forward as far as Aldrick Rosas goes, being that he did struggle last year, even though he had a little bit of a bounce back with the new long snapper? What do you think the Giants should do moving forward?
Before I do that, just looking at the chat real quick, Wolf says you've gone full Eagle. I'm not sure what you mean by that, man. Man's is out here putting in that work. What's up to Alex Sports? Ligma is in the chat also. All right, so before I also answer that, you brought up a good point, by the way, talking about his mental health probably, right. And what mental state you got to be at that time in the morning. It does make me think: is there actually some type of issue there with Rosas? If there is, I hope he gets help. Still want him off the team because what he did is unexcusable. But it also brings into the question. Maybe these guys, and I don't like to bring this up as an excuse because once again they're adults, but maybe some of these guys have, just need that structure of the off season that's gone right now.
Completely
like they don't have their time occupied by doing their professional work and all that. I'm just throwing that out there. I could be completely off, but what do you think about that?
You're completely right, and I completely agree. I also said it in my video as well, and I think Chris said it in his video. Has to be a reason, because remember, I'm not trying to throw anything out there that nobody knows, okay? A lot of the NFL players are coming from the hood. They're coming from places that pretty much they haven't really gotten a real sense of discipline, and they're pretty much behaving themselves because of the program that they're in. They're always under a structured organization, and they're always being looked after. Of course, PR is under these guys. They're always on top of these guys. They make sure you're not out in the public doing crazy things that other normal people would be doing.
Your coaches are on you.
Right, exactly. The coaches are on you. Listen, people don't really think that, but yeah, in the NFL, they're on you, man, 24/7. They're making sure you're going to the right areas, make sure that you're not around the public doing these crazy things. And without the NFL right now, because it feels like the NFL has been disbanded, really, because of course they're having their online meetings, but they're in the comfort of their own home. They're pretty much able to do whatever they want to do. They don't have their coaches on them. They're not showing up to work and worried about how you look and all that. So yeah, I feel like NFL players really feel like they're not part of the organization. That's why you're seeing a huge spike in potential cases
from guys that don't have this type of history. Like Rosas does not have this type of history.
Right. And DeAndre Baker, you say what you want about his attitude, and like I said, that's still blurred out for what happened with DeAndre Baker. I feel like he's innocent now, but to put yourself in that situation, it's very blurry. But other situations as well. Cody Latimer, I believe Cody Latimer was defending his child, but that's a different situation as well. But just too many cases now, and there can't be a coincidence that the NFL is where it is right now, and now there's just so many cases of NFL players committing crimes or even just being accused of a crime. You've seen that every once in a while, every year, a couple of guys out there.
This is unprecedented.
Yeah, this unprecedented amount of cases, man, unprecedented. But I completely agree with you. I think the Giants need to send a message. I thought they should have done that with DeAndre Baker, but now the truth comes out. Now I feel like he should stay on the team. But Aldrick Rosas, there's no way around this, really. You have to hire probably one of the best. O.J. Simpson's lawyer needs to be this guy's lawyer to really get out of this one.
It don't even matter if he gets the best lawyer to ever exist. He's just off the like it has to happen. It comes back to what you said, right? It comes back to the fact that you said he's a kicker. He's not DeAndre Baker in the sense that he was not a first round pick.
Right.
And even though I think on some level, I don't know if you hear that in the background. For some reason, somebody in my neighborhood is popping off fireworks right now. I don't know why. Anyway, like, what was I saying? Oh yeah, a kicker. The Giants, one of their best parts of the team the past 3 years, we haven't had that many good parts, was the special teams. I think it's a very underrated part of the Giants, and I think we've always been top 15 in the past 3 years. And of course, the kicker is a big part of special teams. We're definitely going to be affected there, but he's also replaceable. It comes back very much to what you said. This is somebody you can make an example out of. This is somebody that you definitely should send the message through.
Right, and you think about, of course it was a different regime, but the same ownership. You look at Josh Brown a couple of years ago. He had that domestic violence case.
Bro, I brought that up too.
Right.
I don't know what it is with Giants and like recent kickers off the field, but something's there.
We got some tough kickers, man. These guys are buff, man. Josh Brown was buff, and so is Aldrick Rosas. These guys don't play around, man. But they're not just your everyday nerdy kickers. But yeah, I don't know what it is about Giants kickers, but they're always getting into trouble. But I expect the Giants to release them, and then therefore, they're on ahead. You have to expect the Giants. It only makes sense to sign Stephen Gostkowski right now.
Yep.
You look at Coach Joe Judge, was a special teams coach out there in New England for a couple of years now. He's very accustomed to Stephen Gostkowski. And I'm pretty sure Steven is very accustomed to Joe Judge as well. So I think that will be a pretty good match right there, and they will be getting off to the right foot. There wouldn't have to be any chemistry going on. I'm pretty sure that Joe Judge is going to have a say in a lot of what goes on in special teams. Even though we still have Coach Tom Quinn there, I feel like Joe Judge is still going to have a say in things. So
exactly. Gostkowski is, I think, without a doubt, the number one option right now. And not only is he the best free agent kicker out there in the market, I actually tried to look up who are still free agents, and the other names that came up were I think Nick Folk, who I don't want on the team because he's a terrible kicker.
Yeah. One good year.
Zane Gonzalez might be a free agent. I don't know, but let's be real. The only person that actually names that carry any weight, because they were at one point one of the best kickers in the league, is Stephen Gostkowski, and like you said, should slide right in because Judge was the special teams coach there. But you did tweet out something today that a sub of mine brought up in my live stream, and I'll tell you right now, bro, I don't know how this dude is still out of the NFL. I don't know why he's not in it, at least for a tryout or something, but destroying he's currently a YouTuber. Maybe you can explain it better because apparently dude is like not that far from you, but destroying. I would love to see him at least try out for the Giants.
I would absolutely love. That's why I wanted to get it trending. If you guys follow me on Twitter, make sure you go to my Twitter and retweet, even put out your own hashtag for one of the hashtags I put out there. Make sure you use that and try to get that popular, man. I want Destroying on this team, man, at least for a tryout, man. He's in my area. He's gone to my park a couple of times. I never was able to meet him. I want to, but this guy, I follow him on Instagram. He's always looking for a shot. He had a point in time where he was a kicker for the CFL. That didn't last very long, I believe. I believe it has something to do with his YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. But
and with the whole reason he even got kicked off of his college team was completely stupid. And we all noticed with the NCAA, they don't like their players making money. All the dude was doing was just making videos on YouTube, and his college team kicked him off because he was making money from YouTube. That stupid reason was why I'm pretty sure. I'll tell you right now. That's the reason he didn't get drafted, because he wasn't with a college program.
Right, exactly. And this guy is this guy's really good, man. He's really good. And you look at there are some guys who are internet sensations that are now starting kickers. Kickers for NFL teams. Look at Younghoe Koo, right? He had a stint with the Chargers, and he fell off a cliff, and then he tried out with another team. But now he's with the Falcons, and now I think he's had more successful recovered kicks in NFL history in one season. So, and he also had 2 in one game. So, Yeah, I'm excited to see who the Giants bring in. The one that makes the most sense, of course, is Steven Gostkowski, but I really want to see Destroying get a shot, man. I really want to see him
Exactly.
get a shot. But read off the chat here.
Wolves is asking, is Dan Bailey a free agent? I don't know, actually. I think he got
No, I
picked up.
believe he's still with the Vikings.
Yeah, I think he got picked up.
Yeah, he's still with the
Jordan
Vikings.
Horn with a pretty interesting comment there.
What do you say? A friend of mine who works for Bleacher Report just let me know. What do you say?
That right there, the friend of mine who works for Bleacher Report. I'm guessing, yo, Jordan Horn, if you can get Bleacher Report to stir up a little bit of articles saying, yo, Destroying should sign with the Giants, I mean, if you can do that, bro.
Oh,
Go right ahead.
yeah. Make sure you credit the podcast too.
Ligma, of course, trolling, saying, KB, you are worrying me.
Well, Ligma, why? Cause I'm not on Madden yet.
Nah, he was saying, I think he's saying that Destroying shouldn't be an NFL kicker, but it is what
he
it
should
is.
get a
What's up, Travis?
tryout. I'm not saying give the
exactly,
guy a
tryout.
job because he's a famous YouTuber. A tryout, nonetheless. His talent is there. Yes,
His power, his foot power.
exactly. This guy can kick 70 yards like it's nothing, man. I mean, he's really good, man. But you know, I understand that some of these guys under the NFL spotlight don't succeed. I get that. I'm just saying, just give him. Give him a chance. We'll say, hey, you're still trash. I love you, Wolves. I know you love me too. Edward Chance is Destroying. That's absolutely right, man. Try to get him. Try to give him a job, man. Jared Williams. What's going on, Jared Williams?
Edward actually brought up a great point before the stream started. He was saying Destroying. He's also just really athletic. He could be used on a couple of fake outs on special teams.
Yeah, and yeah, he's also a pretty good wide receiver, man. So if
Yeah.
we ever need a wide receiver, I'm pretty sure he'll be there, man.
Fifth string wide receiver.
Yeah, but there's some other news in the NFL as well too. For in the NFC East rather, Brandon Brooks, the guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, went down with an injury. The Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is said to be one of the better offensive lines in the league. Now, now that they have, I believe Vitae starting at left tackle, if I'm not right, Big V starting at left tackle. So they lost Jason Peters. Now there's talks about bringing him back and putting him at guard, which I don't really understand. But Brandon Brooks is out. Now you have a probably starting line of Big V and Lane Johnson at the tackle spots, Isaac Siamalu, and I don't know who's filling in that guard spot, but a guard there, then Jason Kelsey. To me, I mean, I never want to wish any injuries, but I think Brandon Brooks is a huge loss for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially what they want to do. You look at Carson Wentz, this guy is a walking injury, so without Brandon Brooks there is a huge loss there, and Carson Wentz is going to be under pressure a lot more than usual. And on top of that, their running game, they drafted, I believe they drafted, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know they still have Miles Sanders there.
Wait, who'd you say they drafted?
I don't know if they drafted anybody, but I'm saying they always drafted running back. The Eagles
Okay.
always drafted running back, but I don't think they did. But they're starting to focus on their run game now, being that they have Miles Sanders in there, and everybody's saying that he's probably gonna have a great season. So it's interesting. Brandon Brooks, I think, can affect this team. Big V starting with the Lions. Then who's starting at left tackle? I don't know who's starting at left tackle.
I was just about to tell you that, Kid Blue. I've in my NFC East prediction video was when I realized, wow, the Eagles are in trouble this year because we all know that they lost the veteran starters on the defense,
Right.
but they lost quality depth all over the team, offense and defense.
Right.
And Big V was one of the guys to go. And at the time, I was like, all right, I have no idea who they're gonna start there then, because you're gonna have what? Were they the one? They didn't take Cordy Ford. Who did they take last year? I think, one of those tackles that
I know who they took. Andre Dillard. Okay, so
Andre Dillard.
he's going to be starting at left tackle, which I'm a little bit more confident in. But of course,
I'll tell you this though, that offensive line. Listen. Not
Uh-huh.
only did they lose starters with with obviously with Kelsey and Vitae, but they lost depth though. We're talking depth pieces that also went away in the offseason, just like they did on the defensive side. I don't know. It could be a bold prediction, but I really believe this is the year Philadelphia could just fall apart because they got no money to reclaim that depth.
Right, exactly. I don't know if this is true. And Bobby Woodruff, long time no see, brother. I appreciate you joining in the stream. No, this is not a call-in show tonight. I'm so sorry about that. I haven't done a call-in show in a while. Like I said, I really want to take out a day that I'm off of work and I could just do a call-in show all day because I want to try to get to a lot of you guys as I can. But that's still in the works. But Andre Dillard there, I feel like I'm a little bit more confident. I do like Andre Dillard. I thought he had great pass protection ability. I'm not too sure about his run protection, run protection. Yeah. But I hope this gives the Giants a step up, man. I mean, it's very unfortunate that somebody had to go down for the year. But
I hate
as
but of course.
as a business, as an organization, you gotta next man up, next team up. You gotta take advantage of that. And I'll tell you right now, with Brandon Brooks going down, the Giants. I made a video. The Giants' strongest position is the interior defensive line. Without Brandon Brooks there, expect a guy like Leonard Williams or Dexter Lawrence to take advantage off of whoever's going to be starting at guard and take advantage and disrupt the interior offensive line and hopefully disrupt Carson Wentz and Miles Sanders from moving the ball down the field. I think this is a good thing for the Giants, especially to beat the Eagles at their own game and hopefully beat the Eagles at Philly. Do you think that this will be a good advantage for the Giants?
100%. And once again, as usual, whenever we get on here, there's at least one time in the stream that Kid Blue just sort of reaches into my brain and picks out what I was gonna say. But this is good for the NFC East in general, man. Listen, not pass rush wise, although I do expect Washington and Dallas to have a respectable pass rush this year. Defensive line wise, very underrated. The NFC East in general has overall one of the best defensive lines in the entire NFL for each team that they have. The Giants have a really good defensive line that could take advantage of this injury, when it comes to the run game. Hopefully this year also the pass game, maybe Williams could step up. Of course, the Redskins, one of the best defensive lines in the league now, just completely built like how the 49ers were built. And D-Law and the Cowboys over there, I fully expect the NFC East to at least feast on one of the games they're going to have, these NFC East opponents with the Eagles. And you already know me. I said I fully expect the Giants to beat the Eagles at home this year, at MetLife Stadium, not Lincoln Financial Field. I fully expect us to beat the Eagles because Saquon almost beat them for us in the past 2 years in all 4 of those games by just running the ball. But Pat Shurmur being Pat Shurmur forgot to run the ball. You add now the fact on that the Eagles are just super injured and they got no type of depth anymore and they lost starters. The Eagles just got worse. That's what it is. It just got worse, and they're already a very injury-prone team without their depth this year. It's just, I don't want to jinx it, but it's just building up more and more for a Giants win,
Right, and I'm going to tell you right now, looking at this Brandon Brooks loss, it really made me look at the Philadelphia Eagles roster as a whole, and I just started thinking about it. I mean, it's not out of the conversation. I'm not sitting here and being, biased, but it's not out of the conversation that the Giants get the second spot in the NFC East, and it may not be a great record. It could still be 7-9. I predict the Giants to go 7-9 this year. That may rank second. That may rank third place. I honestly think the Eagles are going to take a huge. I see Eagles fans all the time predicting that they're going to go 11-5, 12-4. How do you expect that to happen? You have injuries all over the board. You have no depth. Right?
Every single year they got mad injuries too.
Their linebacking core is absolutely terrible. Their secondary seems very, I don't know, just out of their prime. That's definite. Darius Slay, I don't think is the same guy from years past. And their offense can be dangerous, but there's still a huge question mark with the wide receivers. Do you think now, especially with the Brandon Brooks injury, that kind of emphasizes the Philadelphia's struggles? Do you think the Giants, even with the same record, can get to second place in the NFC East, even with a 7-9 record? Do you think the Giants can get to second place?
I think it's possible, but if they get second place with 7-9, it also means the Redskins have to be trash. Because I'll say this, I do think the Redskins, they're not going to be a good team this year, but I don't think they're going to be absolute trash, right? I think they're definitely like a team from the 4 to 6 win range. I do think that. The Eagles in this, hypothetical situation, they would obviously have a record worse than 7-9. So let's just say maybe 6-10, 5-11. Then the Redskins would have to be that 4 or less win team. It's definitely possible because I think one thing we sometimes forget is that the NFC East really is probably the weakest division in football right now. If we're being completely honest with each other, and it's definitely possible for 7-9 to get to second place.
Right. I can't even think. I was trying to think of an argument against that, but I really can't think of a division that's worse off. I mean, every division has probably all 4 teams have a potential to make a playoff run. Look at the AFC North. Look at the NFC North. Look at the NFC South.
Bro, we could just stick to the NFC. Yeah, we could just stick to the NFC. Like you said, NFC North, you got Vikings and Packers. Even though I do think Packers will take a big step back this year, but that's not a conversation for today.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the NFC South, basically every team in there is always competing for the division. NFC West, the same thing. And then you got the NFC East, and it's like, oh, well, it's probably going to be just the Cowboys this year. Maybe the Giants if everything breaks right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Let's see. Giants will win. Luann says the Giants will win the division. Now, I've been on record saying this before. Call me a Cowboy fanboy, and I seen West Coast put a comment on that as well. I'm sorry. The Cowboys are leagues better than any other team in the NFC East right now. And I know they're not fantastic compared to the NFC. They're probably the worst the worst high-powered NFC team in the NFL right now, but they're still high-powered in my opinion. You look at their roster across the board. If they were not the Cowboys, if they wore a different uniform, they would probably be a 12-4 type team. But they're the Cowboys. Bro, they still have the star, and what can go wrong will go wrong with the Cowboys. I'm sorry, but I'm still on record saying
if they wore a different uniform, Kid Blue, they would be Super Bowl champions. And I say this because you said, for those of you that tuned into the last episode, I had to check Kid Blue to make sure he wasn't a Cowboys fan with the amount of times he was praising them. I thought I praised the Cowboys a lot because I'm in the same boat as him. I was like, yo, their roster is clean, bro. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and he's completely right. If they wore any other uniform, in my opinion, they would win the Super Bowl. But Cowboys gonna Cowboys, and you saw that with Zeke and COVID.
Right, and let me tell you something there. I don't know why everybody's talking about the Philadelphia Eagles having the best starting 22 in the NFL. I mean, just look at their linebacking core. That tells you what you need to know already. Just look at their secondary. Their secondary is full of a bunch of guys that are pretty much past their prime. Jalen Mills is their starting strong safety, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
All right. I think Nathan Gary is their starting middle linebacker right now. Okay. We don't even know who's starting at guard. We have Jalen Reagor, who's supposed to be the second coming of I don't know, a Tyreek Hill, right?
He's gonna be the second coming of Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, that's what he's gonna be, the second coming of. I don't know how. Even I hear Giants fans talking about it as well. They have the best starting 22 in the NFL or in the NFC East. I don't think that's true at all. I think the Cowboys have the best starting 22 in the NFC East. Not probably the NFL, but the best starting 22 in the NFC East. Look at their linebacking core. Sean Lee, who I think is past his prime, but still a decent, serviceable linebacker. And Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. These are two guys that can rack up 100 tackles each.
You'll be hard pressed to find a linebacking core better than them. You can find one on par with them. You know, teams like the 49ers and the Colts have linebacking cores on par with them.
Right.
But it's a real conversation of whether or not the Cowboys have one of the best linebacking cores in the league.
Yeah, it's a real con. You can make the argument with the 49ers. I like Fred Warner. I like Quan Alexander over there. A couple other guys over there. Darius Leonard over there with the Indianapolis Colts as well. And then you move on to the offensive side of the ball for the Cowboys. Literally, their only weakness is tight end. That's it. Mm-hmm. Their only weakness is tight end, and that is probably the perfect situation to have. They revamped their offensive line. Travis Frederick retired. They said, no problem, we're going to get Tyler Biotic in there.
We're going to get the young Travis Frederick.
Exactly, and they got that in them. Their wide receiving core, I don't think you could name a better trio of wide receivers. I know the Buccaneers are up there, but
bro, they definitely have the best starting trio.
You have potentially 3 number 1 wide receivers. I mean, I don't know about Michael Gallup yet. I think he's getting there, but he had 1,100 yards last year. Okay, that's nothing to just shrug off. And I know people are probably getting mad that we're talking about the Cowboys, and a lot of you guys are Giants fans. But I'm sorry, you have to acknowledge your opponents. You have to acknowledge your enemy. You have to respect your enemy. Because if you go out there thinking you're going to win every game because you have that confidence and you're not respecting your enemy and what they've done in the off seasons, you're going to lose. And that happens more often than not. Wolf says, KB, serious question. How will you feel if Cap signs with the Giants? I'd be a little indifferent. I feel like the Giants would be doing it for a public standpoint and try to get the media on their side. I was thinking about making a video on this as well with Colin Kaepernick.
I saw that, bro. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but I saw that, Wolves.
What'd he
I
say?
saw that retracted message. It's alright, bro. It's
What'd he
alright.
say? What'd he say?
He just typed N and sent it into the chat and just retracted it. I don't know if he was going where I thought he was going, but I saw that, Wolves.
I hope it wasn't Wolves, but as far as Colin Kaepernick goes, I mean, can he? I mean, he didn't have a terrible season he had with the 49ers the last time he played, but I feel like, and I know there have been worse quarterbacks signed, than Colin Kaepernick. But you look at Colin Kaepernick, should he get a tryout? I think he should get a tryout somewhere. I don't really care, but I don't want an organization just signing the guy and keeping him on the team because they want the media on their side, because they want the media attraction. I don't want the Giants to be under that. If the Giants bring in for a tryout, I don't really care. I don't really agree with his politics, and it's not really about the politics to me. Here's what I don't want. I don't want Colin Kaepernick to take this opportunity to not care about football and really be signed to a team just to fulfill his antics. I have a complete 100% agreement that you should be able to express your rights pretty much everywhere you go. I don't really care about that. I'm not. That's a conversation for a different time. But I don't want Colin Kaepernick to take this advantage and put a spotlight. If a team really wants to start a new culture, like the New York Giants, they bring in a totally new coaching staff, and they're revamping the culture. I don't want them to reset that with Colin Kaepernick and say, hey, Colin Kaepernick is the boss now. The focus is going to be on Colin Kaepernick. You know how detrimental that's going to be for Daniel Jones? And now that I think about that right now, I don't want Colin Kaepernick on a team then. Now that I think about that right now.
Well,
I think he should get a tryout. I think he should get, if he wants to try out, that's fine. But I think it'll be detrimental. Yeah,
To respond to that, well, first things first, couple things with the chat. Wolves, it was a mistake. Yeah, I know. I was playing with you, bro. I know, you turn into Kid Boo streams all the time. You turn into my streams all the time. I was just kind of pulling your leg a little bit. That's all right, bro. Levi, what's up, Young Guns? Were you the one that suggested that name, Levi? And Sports Critic in the house. To the original question, I would be very confused, and you kind of leaned to where I was gonna answer towards the end there, saying that you wouldn't want Danny Dimes to feel any type of threat and whatnot. But then it's like I'm torn, right? I would be very confused because I'm like, why would you sign him? We already have a pretty good backup in Colt McCoy. Right. I don't think people realize Colt McCoy is probably gonna be one of the best backup quarterbacks.
I had somebody did a real quick before you continue. I'm sorry, but I was watching somebody do he wasn't a Giants fan, but he did a New York Giants season preview, and he said he looked at the backup quarterbacks and didn't like what he saw. How could you not like what you see? Who's gonna be better at backup? Do you want Patrick Mahomes as your backup quarterback? Is that what the Giants should do? I don't understand why people think that backup quarterbacks should be starting caliber quarterbacks. They're backups for reasons. They're backup for a reason. But I think Colt McCoy is a great backup.
Colt McCoy is a starting caliber quarterback. He started for the Redskins many times over the past 2-3 years, right? So I'll tell you this right now, and the thing is, he has starting caliber to him. He's a dude that's kind of been always like an underdog in the sense throughout his NFL career. He was small coming out of Texas. He was always had to prove himself to teams. Got signed to a Redskins team that had two quarterbacks in Cousins and RG3. Worked his way up. And, he's been a good veteran quarterback for 10 years now. I think that's another thing people forget. He's been successful in the league for 10 years, in a league that he probably shouldn't have been successful in. And yet, with all that confidence I have in him, I also know for 100% fact he's not a threat to Daniel Jones because, well, he's Colt McCoy. He is a backup quarterback. He has the flashes that could definitely start for us. But going back to the cap thing, it's like, I don't know if Daniel Jones will necessarily be threatened if he does come on the team because it's been 4 years, man. How good are you really going to be after 4 years outside the NFL? In
my opinion, I don't even think the threat would be for the job. I think because you're starting to... Daniel Jones is the franchise quarterback. The attention and the media should be around him. He should have that feeling of, wow, I'm the leader of this team. You have to build up that morale in a young quarterback for him to thrive. Even if Colin Kaepernick doesn't even threat for the starting quarterback, the media is going to be on him because of what went on in the past 4 years. When you go into the locker room, who are the media going to go to? It's going to be no more Daniel Jones. It's going to go right to Colin Kaepernick. Even if Colin Kaepernick is, say, the third-string quarterback, he is still gonna get the spotlight and say, do you feel threatened that do you feel oppressed that you're not getting a look at the starting job and things like that? And Daniel Jones, that's gonna be detrimental to his growth, because then he has to worry about being politically correct. He has to worry about what he says. He doesn't really have control of the team. Colin Kaepernick, even though he probably won't be a starter, I don't think he will be as I don't think he would, if he competed with Daniel Jones, I think he would lose. But I think if the Giants were to keep Colin Kaepernick, I think the media would be drawn more to Colin Kaepernick than they would Daniel Jones. I think the media would care about Colin Kaepernick's politics than Daniel Jones' progression as a New York Giant. And I think that would totally screw up the culture.
I'll say this. I don't know if it's going to necessarily, mess with his development, the fact that he's going to get less media coverage. And what's up, NYG31? Of course, anybody tuning in, this is a completely hypothetical situation. I don't think it would mess up, because he's not the type of quarterback. It's not like he's Dwayne Haskins. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at DJ and the type of leader that he's been this offseason, he's done everything by taking his own steps and, basically stepping into that leader role almost naturally. I don't really think it would affect him that much if the media's not on him. Maybe it actually helps him out. The dude has less stress. He's not going to be asked all these questions. I think you just kind of, I guess, I don't know, spitballing here. I don't know if it's going to necessarily affect him, the fact that the media is going to be all over another player. It's kind of like a couple games, or maybe even for the entire season, the media might be all over Saquon, and they might not go to Daniel Jones that much. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing.
Right. I completely agree. And so I don't think Colin Kaepernick would be a great option. I know maybe it'll be a feel-good story, and I know probably the Giants will benefit with the media, but they will not benefit culturally, in my opinion. They will not benefit, and you would be severely damaging Daniel Jones's his growth and progression. So Verl Keeler, known Cowboys fan and very vocal Cowboys fan, in the chat. Long time no see, Verl. Kid is 100% correct. Jones is pure. Don't need no malcontent to contaminate him. I absolutely agree. Whether or not you agree with Colin Kaepernick's politics isn't the question here. I think even if you're a Giants fan and you do agree with Colin Kaepernick's politics, I don't think you should want him on the team and ruin Daniel Jones' future, because if you really think about it, is Colin Kaepernick, if we do sign him, Colin Kaepernick probably has a future of 2 or 3 years here before he would eventually either move on to another team or just retire from the NFL after he's done what he wants to do. Then Daniel Jones is supposed to be the franchise guy. He's supposed to be here for 15 years. You could ruin his career. You could ruin his 15 years with just 2 years of that, man.
Exactly.
In my honest opinion. So it would not be healthy for Daniel Jones, in my opinion. But that's up for interpretation.
Jordan Horn with a pretty good question, tagging both of us. He said, "Who is your sleeper team this year?" Mine is the Cardinals. We actually we talked about that, I think, in several streams, but I'm good with giving mine again. Last time I said the Broncos, and I'm gonna stick with the Broncos. I like the way that they built their team. Them and the Bills took very similar approaches to building their teams. They already had an established defense. In some cases, they kind of improved upon that established defense, and then they just went all out on offense and offensive weapons. I think the Broncos might be a sleeper team this year.
I'm not gonna give that same answer just because I want to give a different answer, but I love that pick for you, man. Their wide receivers are completely revamped from last year. It was pretty bad last year, but they got some great wide receivers now. They still have Cortland Sutton in there, who's coming in as the number 1 for now until Jordan Judy takes on that role. And then KJ Hamler, who's a beast in the slot. So
I will say this: I think Cortland Sutton's gonna keep the number 1 role. Just because I think the missing offseason is going to hurt rookies a lot. I think rookies are probably going to suffer the most, more than anybody, that, just going into the NFL without a proper offseason.
I completely agree with you. And to your point, I think it was Jordan Horn who asked the question. I wanted to go Arizona. The only reason why I won't go Arizona for the sleeper is because of the teams ahead of them in their division. You look at the Rams, you look at the 49ers, and you look at the Seahawks. It's going to be very hard. Even if the Cardinals are good, they could probably be a really good team, probably realistically a 10-6 type team, and they could probably have a 6-10 record or 7-9 record because of their division rivals. Man, it's going to be very hard to topple to get on top of those guys. And Christopher Brown, thank you so much for using the emojis, man. I appreciate that, man. But my sleeper team would have to be the Las Vegas Raiders. They're coming in, they're restarting, rebranding in Las Vegas. There's a lot of hype surrounding them. They're getting off to a good start. Josh Jacobs seems to be an absolute workhorse, an absolute slam dunk pick in the first round they made last year, which a lot of people didn't like because he didn't play too much in Alabama, but they saw something in him and it's worked out. They're building through the draft, and they have I can't stress enough how much I love the minds over there in Las Vegas. Mike Mayock they
building weird.
Yeah, it is very weird, but they know they do their research, man. They do their film. John Gruden was one of my favorite voices. Before, ESPN was also always terrible, and Monday Night Football was always terrible, but I like John Gruden. And the fact that he's the head coach, he's an offensive guru. You see it in those quarterback shows that he's in. It's insane. Mike Mayock, when he was on NFL Network, I kid you not, I'd only go to Mike Mayock's mock drafts because they were accurate and they made sense. I'd never go to any other else's mock draft. He was always on the money. I always loved his takes. The guy is a very smart guy. Mike Mayock out there as the GM is I have utmost confidence in. I think the now Las Vegas Raiders are going to have that momentum. They're building up a new brand. They're rebranding. And I think they're going to be a team to take advantage, man. Yes, you have the Kansas City Chiefs at the top of the AFC West right now. But you look at it.
Under that, it's open under them.
It's open. You mentioned the Denver Broncos, and they're definitely in competition there. But remember, there could be 3 teams in one division that make the playoffs, especially with this new seeding. Hell, I don't know how it would be possible, but you could have 4 teams potentially making the playoffs in one division because of the extra seed.
I don't think so, because you're going to need, there's going to be 4 reserved for the 4 division winners.
Right.
And then, you're right.
You could have 4 teams in one division make the playoffs.
How in the world is it gonna work? You see,
I don't know.
Why, and I did this. I said this in my Super Bowl if the Giants win the Super Bowl video. I was like, the NFL and the way they expanded the playoffs. I didn't like it at first. It kind of grew on me because I'm like, hey, the Giants could probably have a better chance now. But realistically speaking, they didn't explain to us how this whole seeding is gonna work.
Yeah. Well, the seeding is going to work like this. If there's 7 seeds, that means the second seed is now not going to have a bye. They're actually going to compete in the wild card, so they'll face the 6th seed, and then it'll go on from there. And the only team that have a bye is the 1st seed, and then they'll do tournament style, of course, and then
that's the thing. That's the one thing I don't agree with. They put the 1st seed at such a high level, which I guess if you get the 1st seed in your conference, I guess, well earned, but it's given a big plus to the 1st seed team.
Yeah, I don't mind. I think they should be rewarded for being the 1st seed, and I think it will put pressure because remember, some teams that get a 2nd seed or even a 3rd seed, they'll give up. They won't play. It'll be boring because they start their backups in the last game of the season, or maybe 2 games at the end of the season. But this adds a lot more excitement now. You've seen in years past, even in the NFC East, you've seen in the years past how many times have the Cowboys rested their starters when they won the division and they're just comfortable where they're at. Now, if they get the 2nd seed, they might want the 1st seed to try to get that one bye and not have the chance of being eliminated in the wild card round. So I like, it is a little bit unfair for the 2nd seed. They worked hard too, but hey, it adds more excitement, it adds more competition, and I'm all for it. I'm anxious to see how the seeding goes. Now, of course, we will probably get the extra regular season game next year, so that's going to be interesting as well, and that's going to affect seeding as well, and that's going to have even more competition.
Random question to that, right? And also, I guess for the people watching, if you see me looking in 3 different directions, when I'm looking here, I'm looking at my camera. When I'm looking in the middle, I'm looking at the stream, and when I'm looking off to the right, I'm looking at the chat. So that's why my eyes are kind of darting back and forth. But random question. Right. Is there any way you can see this playoff seeding kind of failing this year and then the NFL just gets rid of it?
I actually don't see how it's going to be a bad thing. I think it's going to add a new element of competition. I think People are going to be more tuned in because who really cares about week 17? Nobody really cares about week 7. When teams are in the playoffs, they don't really care. And when teams are out of the playoffs, they don't really care either. That would add more excitement for even teams that are out of the playoffs to try to beat. You say the Giants, say they're out of the playoffs, and the Cowboys need one more game to get the number 1 seed. We have something to play for because the Cowboys never make it that far, and they could get eliminated in the wild card round. If the Cowboys get the 2nd seed, the Giants have the opportunity to drag the Cowboys down, to just keep them at the 2nd seed, and then see how it plays off. And we could have the gracious responsibility of saying, hey, we were the ones that took the Cowboys down to the 2nd seed and they got eliminated. We ruined your season in week 17. So exactly. I love it. I don't see how it's going to be a bad thing. I could understand why there's going to be some confusion from the fans, from the media. There's going to be a lot of things mixed up. I'm sure the NFL and their own media guys are going to clear that up through social media and have their PR team clear everything up and as we go along in the season. But I'm all for it, man. I love the new seeding. And it's going to add even more excitement when we get that extra regular season game. But the only thing that's going to happen with the new extra regular season game is that stats are going to be inflated. So you're going to see a lot more broken records, which I'm not a fan of. There was talks about players only playing 16 games, which I think is going to be very hard to do because if you look at even backup players, if they play one snap, like where does the threshold start? If a backup player plays 16 games, does that mean he can't play? I mean, if he plays 10 snaps in a game, does that mean he can't play? Or are they just going to limit it to starters? And even so, there's going to be some confusion there. There's going to be, I think they're going into it not really thinking about that. I don't know how that's going to work. And there are some like really privileged NFL players out there that are making the big bucks. They're saying, "Oh, I don't want this.
Exactly.
Because they don't want to get hurt and they don't want to ruin their money. But it's a huge opportunity for the backup players. It's a huge opportunity to step up and potentially play for another contract. That one game could be your game to be put out there. You could be starting. You may have never started in the league, but this game you're able to start because the starter has to be benched. And now you're able to start, and now you could get a contract somewhere else. I think it would be a good thing for the NFL as well, but I think there's going to be a lot of confusion there.
There's definitely going to be a lot of confusion. You brought up a good point, especially with injuries, right? You're talking about, well, obviously, even with the 7th seed, that's one extra team, well, 2 extra teams in the playoffs, more a cause for, more chances of injuries happening. And then when they add the actual, week 17 game, that being 17 games for each team, one thing that makes me think about for this season is, with the regular offseason gone, really, right? The way it's kind of been built and the way the NFL players are used to it in terms of the physical side is they're used to being eased into it with OTAs, which are voluntary. Then they take a break and then they come back for the hard, real training with mini camps. They're kind of, because there's nothing out right now about OTAs. They're going to be thrown in immediately into the hard training and mini camps. And we heard Joe Judge, obviously he might have changed his thoughts on it because of the situation. But we heard Joe Judge wants to get straight to, padded practice as soon as possible. I'm looking at there's going to be way more injuries this offseason, in my opinion, because players, not everybody has that home gym. Not everybody has the money to have a private space, to have the facilities to keep their body in shape and flexible enough. I think there's going to be a lot of injuries this year, at least leading into the offseason. It just like you bringing up the extra weeks just kind of brought up into my mind injuries. And I do think, going back to the rookies too, they're the ones making the biggest jump, and I don't know if there's going to be a rookie minicamp. Even if there is, there's not going to be an OTAs. That extra practice there for them to get even more used to it. They're kind of just going to be thrown into the hard practice.
Right. And Jesse Bryan, I want to say what's going on, Jesse Bryan. Thank you so much for joining in the stream. You're all right, man. You're all right with me. It's all right. And Jordan Horn says, do you think we might not have 4 preseason games and drop down to 2 games?
It's already 2, isn't it? I think they already made it 2.
I think, no, it's still in the talk. It hasn't been official yet, but I think it's going to be official very soon. I think we should all expect that. I said that even when COVID was just starting to being a thing. I said, well, there goes our preseason. There goes our training camp. If they really want to start the season, they're probably going to do it without that and see how that goes. But, yeah, I completely agree with you. The injuries are going to ramp up. There's going to be a lot more, like for the wide receivers, drop passes, for quarterbacks, inaccurate throws, for cornerbacks, a lot of breaking coverages, man. It's going to be a huge huge learning curve for everybody across the board. And this is why I'm talking about Joe Judge. I don't think anybody's under more stress as a head coach than Joe Judge right now. I really don't think so. I think as a rookie head coach in the media capital of the world, in the New York Giants, you have so much expectations, and especially that because you don't have an expansive resume over a guy like Eric Bieniemy, which a lot of people are still outraged about, which I completely understand. He has a lot of expectations. He has the spotlight under him. He's expected to succeed. Otherwise, they're going to say, well, it should have been Eric Bieniemy. With all the obstacles that he's trying to overcome, man, with the whole DeAndre Baker situation, with the stress of the Aldrick Rosas situation, with COVID, with less time to prepare your players, with no training camp and no OTAs right now, and a shortened 2 preseason games, man, with a new coaching staff. I mean, and trying to build a new culture here, man. I don't think anybody is more under pressure right now as a head coach, let alone a rookie head coach, than Joe Judge. I'm going to be making a video about that soon, but, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on it, man. I mean, with all the stress that Joe Judge is going through right now, do you think he has the ability to overcome that with everything that he's been speaking, overcome that and just advance this team? And how do you think it's going to affect the future of the New York Giants if he does succeed?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is something that you've said, I think, 2 or 3 months ago. Kid Blue has had this opinion before all the crazy stuff happened. He's had it just when COVID was the only thing crazy that happened. Like, dude has been on this for a while. I mean,
yeah.
And you said something, I think it was, once again, I can't remember the exact months, but one of the times that you came on my channel, you said if he somehow gets past all of this and somehow, some way has a successful season as a rookie head coach going through all of this, he should be considered one of the greatest coaches in the NFL. And I completely agree with you because it's just gotten even crazier. You could call it bias for our head coach and whatnot, but you look at what he has to go through, and to your question, can he do it? I don't know. I want to say yes. I really want to say yes. And in fact, you know what? I changed my I don't know to I do change my I don't know to yes, because one thing that just popped into my mind, we have a coaching staff like the Avengers, bro. That's how I compare a coaching staff.
He's it's a beast.
He's walking into the most perfect coaching staff for any rookie head coach that's going to allow him to succeed, and I think they're going to help him out a lot. You got Jason Garrett, a former head coach, wasn't a good head coach, but it's the experience that matters that Judge is going to learn from. And of course, one of the most experienced coaches in the entire NFL on his coaching staff. The same thing with Freddie Kitchens. He learned from his mistakes and also learned, several things from him. And you go all the way down the line, offensive and defensive side. You got guys who've had tremendous success throughout the college level and the NFL level, and they've worked with great programs. I think the coaching staff, the fact that it's so well built, and I honestly think it's one of the best coaching staff the Giants have had in maybe 10, 15 years. Just talking experience-wise, I think he can succeed from it because he's going to have a lot of help around him in that office.
No, I completely agree with you guys. I completely agree with you. And guys, if you are enjoying the stream and you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button for us. It's going to help out the podcast a lot. And we're going to be doing this weekly around 9:30. It was at 8, but it was at 7:30, I believe. But I had to push it back due to my own scheduling issues. I was hit with a weekly business on drum practice. Yeah, drum practice. It got moved to Tuesdays, so that sucks. Nick the Wick, I appreciate you joining in. He says, hi, Kid Blue. What's going on, Nick? I appreciate you joining the stream, brother. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you guys hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds and it helps the algorithm tons. And it's gonna help build this podcast up. And then every week we're gonna have an audience where we can all go over ideas, and the more the merrier for you guys. And we're just trying to entertain you guys, and we can't do it without your support. So thank you guys so much for joining in the stream. John Dose and Huff Kid Blue, over under Thomas 7.5 sacks allowed. I take the under, and I'm putting all my chips in. 7.5 sacks, John Doe.
Under? You're taking the under?
I'm taking the under.
I love Andrew Thomas, but you're taking the under?
You look at all the good tackles in the league only give up about 4 or 5 sacks. 7.5 sacks is like Eric Flowers level. I don't I would not go as far as saying that. If we look at, I'll look at Nate Solder on PFF, how many sacks he's allowed, but I don't think he's allowed more than like probably 8, 9.
Let me
And Nate Solder was bad.
real quick. Nate Solder sacks allowed.
I'm pulling him up on PFF right now. They got that
Because
stat.
I think I might be overestimating how many sacks Nate Solder allowed this past year. So if we go to 2019,
Nate Solder allowed 11.
he allowed 12.5 sacks. I'm here on Washington Post.
Washington Post. Nate Solder. PFF always has their own thing, and they got 11. But still, I cannot see Andrew Thomas, who has had allowed 1 sack in his collegiate career, playing right tackle and left tackle. I cannot see him timesing that by 7.5 next season. I get the NFL is a different game, but he kills NFL talent. He kills it. So I'll say I'm taking the under, and I'm putting all my chips in. I'm taking the freaking under. That's a guarantee right there. And I'm gonna give you a number. I say he gives up 4 sacks next year. I know because the NFL is a different game. I'll say 4.
You know what? I like I said, I think I was overestimating the solo number. I did. I am gonna take the number also, the under also, but I will go for. I'm probably gonna go like 6, 5.5 to 6 sacks allowed, because I still think there's gonna be a learning curve. And you guys know I love Andrew Thomas. Dude was my favorite tackle in the draft, and I wanted him badly. I do think there's gonna be a bit of a learning curve, but it's definitely gonna be under 7.5 sacks.
Yeah, I'll take the under all the way. Mike Nixon. By the way, Mike Nixon, I do have some Cran Grape downstairs. I got 2 bottles. One's already gone already, but I do have another bottle of Cran Grape.
This man is killing on the Cran Grape.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. They gotta get your carbohydrates. Gotta get your natural sugars and carbohydrates. But Mike Nixon with another $10 donation. Appreciate that, my friend. He says, screw it. Get yourself more Cran Grape and and they are thinking about cutting athletics at my high school. I hope not, because I'll be coaching. I won't go to another school and coach. I hope they don't cut your athletics over there, man. But with the whole COVID situation, because the whole COVID situation, they probably don't need a lot of guys in that thing. He's probably a volunteer coach. So Mike Nixon, hopefully, man, you stay in the coaching business, man. And I know you were very excited to coach this year, and I know you were always excited to coach. So I hope that you're still able to do that, man. But yeah, Wolf said Mike Nixon do be clutching. He always clutch, always coming in the clutch. Clutching. My man Mike Nixon is the man. He is the man. Exactly. Of course, guys, if you guys want to get our attention, you can always put in super chats. But Mike Nixon has been doing it that's why Mike Nixon always gets my attention, man, because he's been doing it for so long and always supporting for so long.
I'll tell you right now, he never drives an automatic, bro, because he needs the clutch.
Yeah. He's always comes in clutch. He's a savage, absolute savage. Who do you think will have a breakout season? Visit. Do you are you saying
like Giants wise, NFL wise?
Are you going broad NFL? Are you going Giants wise? Make sure you leave that in there. Nerding Out Sports. Welcome into the chat, my friend.
I think,
appreciate
you
that.
know what, to answer that, KB, and to make it a bit more spicy, let's go NFL wise.
Okay.
Who you got? Well, I guess 2 players maybe.
Breakout season, man. I have to go back and do my research. I haven't even thought about who can potentially break out. You know what? I have a list of guys that are underrated, and by underrated, you could also mean guys that might have a breakout season. I have a Microsoft Word. Let's see, underrated. I have it somewhere.
Because that's a wide list within the next week. A bit on that, talking about players that could potentially break out. So I kind of do have in my mind a couple players that I'm thinking about.
Oh, you have some players?
Oh, I want to say definitely because the NFL.
You there? Okay, yeah.
KB,
you
bro,
good?
it's been an hour in. It's been an hour in. Did you recognize that?
No, I'm opening up something simple as Microsoft Word, and it's killing my computer. So
because I just looked down and it's like stream started 62 minutes ago. I was like, oh no, it's been an hour in.
Yeah, hold on. I think we're good. It's just that my computer was opening up Microsoft Word and it can't even do that. But okay, guys, to have a breakout season. Who are your guys before I cut off?
Oh, I didn't say it. I was actually waiting for what you were gonna say.
Oh, go ahead. If you have some guys that will break out, go ahead.
All right, so breakout. I mean, and this might not be a surprise to some people, but I do think Kyler Murray might have a good chance of breaking out this year. I think
Hmm.
that they're actually going to try and implement that air raid offense this year and not the running first offense that they had last year because I think they actually have the weapons now. Protection wise, I'm not sure, but I do think Kyler Murray has a good chance of breaking out this year if you want to call it a breakout year for him. I'm saying, like he's actually going to put his stamp on the NFL. I don't think I think we're in agreement here. He didn't deserve that Rookie of the Year award, and the dude did not have a great season last year. He had an okay season. I'm seeing like a potentially great season for Kyler Murray, and then another player I'm looking at that could break out this year, and this is really more dependent on his quarterback play. Kind of going back to or
Don't
not
say
going
don't say
back.
the guy. Don't say the guy I'm about to talk about. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
don't know. All right, this goes back to quarterback play. I was thinking DJ Chark. I don't know if you're gonna say DJ Chark.
Oh no, I wasn't, but he is on my list on the Jacksonville Jaguars side as underrated
Yeah,
players in the NFL. So yeah.
exactly. Definitely completely depends on the quarterback play and what type of offense they're going to have. But I see potential in DJ Chark, and he could break out this year if Minshew continues to develop.
Yeah, and DJ Chark had a 1,000 yard season, very quiet 1,000 yard season, but he can break out as a potential. It did. I think the only thing they addressed in there for wide receiver was Laviska Shenault, which is a good wide receiver,
Hmm.
but I think DJ Chark can compete with him and
Yeah.
still break out, and also the competition helps as well. I thought you were gonna mention another quarterback, but
Oh, no, no. I was thinking about going two quarterbacks, but I was like, nah, you know what? Let me mix it up.
I'm gonna go as a guy that's have a breakout season. Is a guy that has broken out in the past, but since has gotten no respect, and that's Derek Carr. I think Derek
Really?
Carr under the same system, his third year in the John Gruden system. You look at Derek Carr in the past years in the NFL. I believe he's now in his seventh year in the NFL. Going on his seventh or sixth year in the NFL. I believe he's had four or five different offensive schemes when I was reading
Hmm.
about Derek Carr.
I remember his first 4 years, it was four different coordinators.
Exactly. So he was always overcoming adversity. He was always putting up good quarterback numbers. Now in his third year, like I said before, with the Las Vegas Raiders, they're rebranding. They're getting a lot of hype around them, and to be honest, their offensive line has performed pretty well last year when I thought it wasn't going to be much. But Trent Brown in there, I think Colton Miller still, Colton Miller, yeah, he's a Raider. Couple other guys in there. I think they still have Gabe Feliciano over there and everybody. But their offensive line is a lot better. They have Josh Jacobs. Their wide receiving core is getting a lot better with Henry Ruggs in there. More
Hmm.
weapons. I think Derek Carr is set up for success. I think he's going to break out again, and I think people are going to turn their heads towards Derek Carr and the Raiders once again, and he'll get back to that. He'll build off of that 2016 season where he was getting chance for MVP.
I'll tell you what, he needs to have a breakout season if he wants to keep his job.
Yeah, exactly. Because Marcus Mariota's right. I know, say what you want about Marcus Mariota, but he was a starting caliber quarterback, and he could still compete, and they could easily bench Derek Carr for Marcus Mariota.
Exactly.
If Derek Carr does terribly. So I think he has a fire under him with all those backup quarterbacks there, especially Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman's in there.
Listen, bro. People joke about Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman is the GOAT quarterback. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm excited for Derek Carr. I think he is my top breakout guy, and I also like what you said about Kyler Murray, and DJ Chark as well. But I'm gonna give my vote for Derek Carr.
Jordan Horn, I'm not sure if you can. Patrick Peterson's a superstar in the NFL, man. I don't know if you could have a breakout year when you're that level of an NFL player.
Yeah, and John Doe says breakout player Caden Smith, the tight
Bro,
end. Hey man, he may be a breakout player for the Giants. I don't know about NFL wise, but for the Giants, he may be a household name for the Giants. Who knows?
I'll tell you what, KB. I'll tell you what. If Ingram goes down within the first 3 weeks of the season, he's right. Cause in my prediction stats, I said give Ingram like for the Giants. I was like Ingram should have 950 receiving yards, and I had like a whole breakdown of his yards per reception, how many targets he's gonna have, and all that.
Mhm.
But I also said all of these numbers can be the same for the person behind him because they're gonna be used in the same way in this Cowboys offense. The tight end is gonna be used heavily. So if Ingram goes down within the first 2-3 weeks, Caden Smith probably is gonna break out.
Right, and that's completely realistic because Evan Ingram has done that multiple years in the past where he starts off great, like last year, his first 3 games were absolutely mind-blowing, and he went down, and, still, again, he's just, You see, he struggled.
Bro, Mike Nixon
Mike
coming clutch
Nixon.
again.
Oh my God. I'm gonna keep that. And Nikki, what's going on? He says, "Sup, fellas." Nikki, what's going on? And John Doe, we'll get to your over under in just a second. But let me just first address my man Mike Nixon with another $10 dono. You are a freaking beast, Mike Nixon. Freaking beast. Now it's a budget issue. Not that it's a budget issue, I think he's trying to say. The superintendent requested they don't do that. It stinks because we're pushing to go to the playoffs and repeat as district champs and make a run at stakes. Oh, so it's a budget issue. So, Mike Nixon, were you being paid to do the coaching job? If so, that's a pretty cool job, man, because I wasn't being paid as a volunteer coach. That sucks, Mike Nixon. We're hoping, man, that you're still keep your coaching job. But
Yeah, Nick's. By the way, why don't you want to go to a different school? I mean, maybe.
well, I think it's his alma mater. I
preparation.
think that's his high school that he went to, and I think he has
Okay.
a loyalty over there. I completely understand that as well. John
True.
Doe says over under Thomas 10 QB pressures. I'll take the over. I'll take the over that he gives pressures. I'm not gonna say he'll give up sacks because Daniel Jones is a lot more mobile than Eli Manning was, but I'll take the
pressures,
over.
definitely.
If
definitely.
anything, I think Thomas may break even. I think that might be a split there. With the 10 quarterback pressure, I think that's right on the X. I think I said he'll allow about 4 or 5 sacks. I think 9 or 10 pressures would be realistic. What do you think?
I agree with you. Like I said, in terms of pressures, I'm expecting more pressures than sacks for sure. This might be a bit much, but I'm thinking actually let me take a quick look back at the Solder right now.
Solder
Numbers.
allowed tons of
Yeah.
pressures.
Solder and
He's
him
a
and
doorman.
him and Remmers last year combined for the most pressures allowed in the NFL by a tackle duo. So we had the worst tackle duo when it came to pressures. I'm saying it's gonna be right around 12-13 actually.
Yeah, I completely agree. So you're taking over as well. Yeah, I completely agree. Burrow Keeler, Cowboys fan, also coming in the clutch with the $10 dono. He says, I predict NFC East will rebound with one of the strongest divisions after being worst all time last year. And I made
I don't know
a
if that's
video
gonna happen
on
this
that.
year, man.
And maybe not this year, Burrow,
Yeah.
but I completely agree with you that I think we're making a comeback. And if not the whole NFC East, I think the lower NFC East, I think the Cowboys still remain on top, like it or not. But and Bro Keeler might love that because he's a Cowboys fan. But I think the Cowboys remain on top, and I think the Giants and the Redskins are on their way up. I think Philly, after their Super Bowl run, they're really starting to regress and start to low-key start rebuilding. Low-key, they're starting to flush out their roster and rebuild.
Bro, Philly just wasn't built well. They were built like
To win for 1 year. That's what they were built.
it was a stone house built on like glass foundation. Philly
Yep.
was not built to last at all. And I agree with you. I don't think they're gonna rebound this year. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, because the Redskins and Giants are definitely on the come up. But unlike Philly, the Cowboys, they're a stone house built on like a platinum foundation. They're solid. They're rock solid. They might get messed up if they pay Dak $40 million, but they're still rock solid.
Completely agree. They have a huge foundation there, especially in the trenches.
Exactly.
Say what you want about the defense. They signed Don Terry Poe and Gerald McCoy at one point in their careers. They were one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, and now they're there together. Yeah,
Exactly.
now they're there
And
together.
You can say they're old. Guess what? Put them both on a pitch count. Split what they would normally do in half, and you got a good defensive tackle room.
And they drafted that Neville Gallimore guy, that defensive tackle.
Neville Gallimore, by the way,
Yeah.
a great point. The Cowboys draft in general was amazing. Neville Gallimore was an underrated pickup, one of the best defensive tackles in the draft.
Agree. Yeah,
Like,
a lot
you
of
know
people
what they're
had on
doing?
their board like the best defensive tackle in the draft. A lot of people had
And
that.
you know what they're doing, right? The Cowboys' run defense was not great last year. They're improving it because the NFC is a very much more a running conference. when you
Woo,
compare
that's a
to
lot
the
of Saquon, and you look at all the running backs in the Washington Redskins backfield, and you've got the Philadelphia Eagles starting to run a lot more with Miles Sanders, and it's definitely a running division. Jordan Horn
I'm
says,
talking about the whole conference. But
Oh,
you look
yeah,
at
the whole
Alvin Kamara
conference.
down in the Saints. Now Todd Gurley over there with the Falcons. Obviously, he's not going to be Todd Gurley of old, but they're going to run it pretty
Yeah.
good amount. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, the team that runs it the most in the entire league. The 49ers, one of the teams that ran it the most last year. The NFC conference. Cowboys are building for like the entire conference, which is smart. It's more running than it is passing.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. When it comes to the NFC East, we are much more of a running conference, and the AFC is more of a passing conference. I just noticed that as well. All the high-powered quarterbacks are pretty much on, well, the high-powered,
Big arm
offenses.
dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
are pretty much on the AFC. And Jordan Horn says, "Who is your breakout rookie this year?" I have Isaiah Simmons and Andrew Thomas. Now,
So I'm guessing he's talking NFL wide.
right, right. So he gets to talk NFL wide, and man, let me look at the first round real quick. I think we answered this question a couple of
I
streams
think
ago.
we did this also.
But look,
I can't remember who I gave.
yeah, I can't remember who I gave, which that makes it all the more interesting because if we give another answer, then we have something else to give. So
I got mine ready.
go
So
ahead.
you want to go first or okay? So I'm going with Caleb Chase on from the Jaguars.
Ooh, like that
Because
one.
I think he's gonna slide right into that Jaguars defense. He's gonna be amazing next to Josh Allen. You're talking Caleb Chase on a dude that has the potential to be a number one pass rusher, is gonna be a number two pass rusher in Jacksonville because teams are gonna pay attention to Josh Allen. Josh Allen, by the way, had a really underrated rookie year. Didn't he have, like, by the numbers, a better defensive rookie year than Nick Bosa did? I'm pretty sure him and Brian Burns came. They were right close to Bosa, and I think Josh Allen might have had a better year by the numbers.
I think Nick Bosa had an extreme amount of pressures, but as far as sacks goes, I believe they were close. How much did Nick Bosa have? I think he probably had 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Josh Allen had 10.
Nick Bosa stats, and Nick Bosa, he had 9 sacks last year.
9 sacks. Well, he had
Yeah.
less sacks than Josh Allen. Josh Allen
That's
had
what I'm
10
saying.
or 10 and a
That's what I'm
half.
saying. By the numbers, Josh Allen had way better stats than Bosa.
But I-
Not
but-
better, but better.
But I think the pressures were all on Nick Bosa. Though. I think Nick Bosa had an extreme amount of pressures. You could check that out as well if you want to. But I think
Let's see.
I think
So
Bosa
Josh
had insane
Allen, he had
pressures.
10.5 sacks. I'm on Pro Football Reference right now. Where does the pressures show up on Pro Football Reference? He had 39 pressures. So Nick Bosa, let me just go to Nick Bosa stats, and then Pro Football Reference. So Josh Allen had 39 pressures. Bosa had 45 pressures.
Yeah.
So he did have more pressures.
Okay.
Then again,
I
though,
thought it would be a
think he's
bigger
playing with a better
margin.
defensive line.
I thought it would be a bigger margin, but they were right. They
Exactly.
were neck and neck with each other, and
That's
I
what I'm
think
telling you, bro.
Josh Allen definitely had to overcome adversity because that's not his scheme. Being a 4-3 edge rusher, not his scheme. He's a speed rusher
Nice.
on the
Yep.
3-4.
I
But
agree with you. That's why I'm like Josh Allen, and even though I'm talking about Chase on, but Josh Allen's gonna have an even better second year than I think than Nick Bosa might have because of how successful he was in his rookie year, and that was a declining Jacksonville defense. Now he's more used to it, and he's gonna have help from somebody once again, a potential number one as the number two. But Chase on actually fits the Jacksonville defense. He's gonna slide right in. I think he's gonna have a great rookie year.
Right, completely agree. And to the question about the breakout player, I'm gonna have to give my answer to Jerry Jeudy, and I know that Jerry Jeudy is gonna be coming in as the number 2 guy right off the bat. But look at all the previous number 2 guys that has done well in the NFL. Michael Gallup, 1,100 yards as the number 2 guy. Chris Godwin, who I think is working his way up to number 1, but I believe he was neck and neck with Mike Evans throughout the season for having more yards. And then you look at another notable guy in there as well as Juju Smith-Schuster when Antonio Brown was there. And Juju Smith, I think had like 1,500 yards or 1,700 yards or something like that as a number 2 option. So you look at these number 2 guys, they're starting to get a lot of looks, man. These wide receivers are becoming a lot more and more talented nowadays, and number 2 guys can easily be number 1s. And Jerry Jeudy, I think, is going to be the same thing. I think it's like same thing with Darius Slayton. When I talk about Darius Slayton, and real quick about Jerry Jeudy, yeah, I think he's going to have a breakout season even as a number 2 guy. I think he could easily rack up about over 1,000 yards next season, especially with his insane route running ability.
They're going to be pushing the ball downfield.
Oh, for
Broncos.
sure. Especially with their brand new quarterback, they want to see what they got in him. So they're gonna throw the ball down the field, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a field day with KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy there. But I bring this up also about Darius Slayton too. Darius Slayton is right now the number 3 guy, but easily can be. If Sterling Shepard eventually goes down, he's gonna be the number 2 guy.
Well, I don't know about you. I think he's going to be the number 1 guy next year just because he fits the offense the best.
I just don't know if they're going to target him the most because I feel like Darius Slayton still has a little bit ways to go to really carry the mantle. Because you look at Juju Smith when he became a number 1, he did not do well whatsoever. Juju Smith is a surefire number 2 guy to take advantage of defense of the second best defensive back. And I think Darius Slayton right now, I think Darius Slayton is on that level where I think he will be an extremely good number 2 guy where he is not the guy that defenses roll coverage to. I think if they roll coverage to Golden Tate or Sterling Shepard, I think that's where he'll make his money. I still think, even as the number 2 guy, that he will have the most receptions, have the most yards, and even have the most touchdowns. I think he's going to outmatch the number 1 guy, and people are probably going to be like, well, doesn't that make him a number 1? Sort of. It's a yes and no.
Not being it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a yes and no. When a team really brings out their guy as a number 1, defenses are rolling coverage to them, all this and that, and of course they're going to be more targeted. I think the number 1 wide receiver is more targeted, and just because you're targeted doesn't mean you get the most receptions. Just so everybody knows as well. So I think Darius Slayton is going to take the mantle as the number 2 guy this year, and I think he's going to find a success in that. But I have a feeling if he becomes a number 1 this year, he's not going to be as successful. I think if he gets rolled coverage, if he gets starting a safety over top constantly, and having a linebacker or a defensive end probably follow him for a couple of yards and then back off, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. He finds open zones very easily. That's what I like about Darius Slayton. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I have high hopes for Darius Slayton. High hopes.
That is a pretty good point you bring up there. And John Doe, by the way, shout out to John Doe. I see him in like
Bavith.
Streams.
What's going on, Bavith? I see Bavith
exactly.
in the chat.
John Doe says Thomas said the hardest guy he had to guard was Derek Brown, not Allen. Thoughts? Well, on that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know how to feel about that.
Who is he talking about? Who had the hardest?
No, he's saying the hardest dude that Andrew Thomas had to guard, according to Andrew Thomas, was Derek Brown. Well, to that, I'll just say, listen, man, I got mad faith in Andrew Thomas. I think he's gonna be, and we talked about this last stream too. I think we all know the best pass rusher in this class was without doubt Chase Young. And I think Andrew Thomas is gonna punch Chase Young in the mouth and absolutely manhandle him.
Aren't you? No, so can't you? I cannot wait. Yeah. I cannot wait for the. I don't care about the Redskins match because we always win anyway, and I just watch them because I know we're gonna win. But I really care now. I'm gonna watch for Andrew Thomas versus Chase Young.
Andrew Thomas is gonna manhandle Chase Young.
Oh my God, I love it.
On Twitter, by the way, and when I saw this post, I just chuckled because I was like, "Wow, bro, these fans are really stupid."
Before you continue, real quick, Mike Nixon, $5 super chat. He's on his way out. Kid Blue, I'm going to bed. I'm beat, tired. You and the hub have a great night. Appreciate you, Mike Nixon.
Thank you for tuning in, Mike.
Exactly, man. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for always supporting. You do this channel a huge service. You're also a channel member as well, so you go above and beyond for this channel, and I respect you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'm also speaking for the hub as well. So you say bye to him too, man.
Exactly, Mike. I hope you have a good night, man. I hope the recovery continues as well as it has. And getting back to what I was saying on Twitter, I don't know if you saw it. They literally had a video of Chase Young doing boxing. And by the way, it was slow boxing. This dude looked like he was moving underwater with the punches he was throwing. Now, I'm not insulting Chase Young because I think if I get in a boxing match with him, I think we all know who's going to win. But it was pretty slow boxing, and they really tweeted out Chase Young is going to eat Daniel Jones for breakfast or something like that. I'm like, y'all serious? Do y'all not know who Andrew Thomas is? Like, are you serious? And another thing, I was like, so you specifically targeted Daniel Jones, by the way. Don't think I didn't notice that, you haters. Goddamn Redskins fans out here. But I was like, so you just don't know the legend of Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now,
he's so underrated when it comes to strength, bro.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing up strength is because people think Young is going to overpower him. Thomas is so underrated when it comes to the amount of strength that he has.
I think he's going to be the next great tackle in the NFL. I'm not joking about that, man. I think he's going to be the next great tackle he's going to be widely known like a Tyron Smith or a Jason Peters was, or Trent Williams. I think everybody's going to say Andrew Thomas is one of the best tackles in the NFL, and this is the guy you have to pay. Delano is in the chat, one of my favorite subscribers as well. Salute to everyone in the chat. Salute to Kid Blue, and salute to Hub. Salute to you, my friend.
Delano?
Thank you so much for joining in the stream, man. Alex says, why did experts believe Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills were better than Thomas?
Can I take the lead on this one, bro?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, because I already know the answer, but you just educate these people. Educate.
Listen, guys. First and foremost, if you're not subscribed to me or to Kid Blue, make sure you do that. Because after you click the subscribe button, I'm gonna ask you to
we're gonna gloat a little bit. We're gonna gloat, just so you know.
Exactly.
Gloat.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
After you subscribe to both of us and turn on post notifications, I'm gonna ask you to go over to the video sections of both of our channels and scroll down to probably, I don't know, December of last year or something like that, when we were both touting for Andrew Thomas. Scroll down to, like, I don't know, the February of last year when the season officially was over and we were still touting for Andrew Thomas. Scroll down to, I don't know, and by the way, Alex, this is not a shot at you or anything. This is just, as Kid Blue says, we're gonna toot our own horns a little bit, right? Scroll down to when the what you call it, the combine happened. And that's where these so-called experts kind of rolled their opinion back on Andrew Thomas.
Shifted everything. They said Andrew Thomas out the window. He went all the way down to like the 15th pick.
Exactly. Somehow, some way, Andrew Thomas went from being single-handedly the only person that was considered better than Thomas in that class was Chase Young, and maybe Joe Burrow to an extent. But let's exclude quarterbacks for a second here. The only person that was being taken over Andrew Thomas in these drafts, and I'm talking he was going second overall, was Chase Young. Andrew Thomas, we still kept with him. Me and Kid Blue, we still kept with him around March time when everybody shifted their opinions. And admittedly, these are good tackles. The top 4 tackles were good tackles. Mekhi Becton is another story for another day. Maybe we can't get into it. But Wirfs and Wills, they were never as good as Thomas. They were in his league, but they were not up to the level that he was. Thomas was always the number 1 tackle, and it's just that everybody knew he was the number 1 tackle, and it got boring. So these experts, right around the time the combine happened, and right around the time pro days were, about to happen and all that, and they saw, oh, Jesus, these guys are actually pretty athletic, talking about it works. And they were like, they went back and looked at tape, and they were like, oh, what's his name? Jedrick Wills is probably the most technically sound guy in there, and I could give you that. Maybe he is, but it's not like you didn't know that before. Right. It's not like you didn't know Jedrick Wills was like a great technical tackle when you were still touting Andrew Thomas as number 1 tackle. It's not like these things are there. And me and Kid Blue say it all the time on draft night. We were like, when it comes down to when I ask people, so why do you have this person ranked above Thomas, or why do you have Thomas ranked below them, they never give me anything negative about Andrew Thomas. They just build up the guy that they're talking about, and that tells me that there is nothing negative you can say about the guy.
And let me tell you right now, after the combine, or even a little bit before the combine, because everybody knew that Tristan Wirfs was athletic, I've never considered Tristan Wirfs the best tackle in the draft.
I don't know why.
I don't know why everybody, and I think exactly how the chips fell is exactly how it should fall. Besides Mekhi Becton, I don't like Mekhi Becton, but I understand why he was drafted because of the high ceiling. So I get why the Jets did it. They probably should have went Tristan Wirfs, but I get why the Jets did it. And on top of that, Mekhi Becton is more of a left tackle than Tristan Wirfs is. So Tristan Wirfs is pretty much pure right tackle here, and we'll see what happens when he moves to left, if he does move to left with the Bucks.
I think he's gonna be best at right. I mean, you still got people saying he can move to guard. I'm not sure if I'll take it that far, but I think, listen, the top 4 tackles in the class, there was only one guy that's worth being a left tackle, and it was Andrew Thomas. Everybody else should start on the right. Even Mekhi Becton, he should start on the right.
Exactly, because he's that mauler. He's in the run game, so he should be on the right side, where the right side is usually the more of the run protector, the run blocker, and the left side is more of the pass protector. So, especially with Jedrick Wills, I like Jedrick Wills a lot, but I figured that we need a franchise left tackle. And silly me, because I was fooled by the media a little bit as well. I was fooled by NFL analysts and stuff like that as well.
It happens to the best of us.
My final mock draft, I had Jedrick Wills going to the New York Giants. That's only because of what I was hearing. It wasn't because of what my actual thoughts. My actual thoughts were Andrew Thomas, and you guys can tell. And John Doe said it. He said it right there. They ain't lying. I watched the vids. They loved Thomas. I wanted Thomas from day one, and I've always wanted Andrew Thomas. That's why when me and Hub did the draft together, and we heard Andrew Thomas, while everybody was saying, "Damn it, why didn't we get Isaiah Simmons?" We
were celebrating.
Yeah, bro. me and Kush were just going off, man. We're going off. We're like, oh, out.
I
We
literally
love
thought it
Andrew
was a joke
Thomas.
because the reason I literally thought it was a joke was because my TV I'm on basically like Sling, so it relies on internet, so it was a
Hmm.
bit behind the Kid Blues.
You're streaming
He,
it, yeah.
yeah, so he told me Andrew Thomas. I was like, oh, this dude is just joking because he knows that's who I want, and I didn't believe him at first. I really did not believe him at first because I was like, there's no way the Giants actually got not only the dude that I want them to get, but the dude that I believe they should get. It
Right.
was just such a great experience.
It was. And it was he was such a perfect pick, man. And I don't even need to say I say it all the time, but it was such a perfect pick. Even if he plays at right tackle for 1 year, which of course nobody really wants to happen, but if he does, I feel like he's the best guy to do it. Because if
Hmm.
Jedrick Wills were to do it, yes, he would be comfortable at right tackle. What happens when mid-season he has to play left tackle? Jedrick Wills, that would not be a good situation because he's never played it. You know,
Exactly.
and then
And what
you
up to Lestat Walton coming in through the chat?
Lestat Walton, my guy, and also Sports Expert 101. Thank you for joining in the stream. Jesse Bryan says, "I'm heading out, guys. Keep up the content. Appreciate that, Jesse. See you later, my friend." Lestat, he's the guy that
Real
made
quick,
my
Kid Blues.
hold on. Lestat was the one that made my logo. So
Mhm.
big shout out to my guy Lestat. And what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say real quick, John Doe was out here posting what seems to be a conspiracy theory, but low key it makes sense. I'll just read it out to you, right? He was like, and Delano Steele actually also. He said personally, I think ESPN is sponsored by the West Coast market. Los Angeles market is the new sports media, so to discredit New York. You know, in terms of like
You
why they
know
hate New York
what?
so much. And
People have
it
said
goes a
that.
little bit more. It goes a little bit more. John Doe then said, I wasn't gonna say this, but I think the media wanted Thomas to fall to Brady. So these are two things that kind of coincide, and I low key believe. I'm into some conspiracy theories. You know, it really does interest me. You know, the whole there's a superior world order that rules the world, something like that. Like I
Yeah.
think there is some truth to it, not to get too crazy. But this right here is something that's very realistic on the real.
I completely agree, and you do notice on ESPN when you watch First Take, they like praise every LA team imaginable, and they always crap on like they always for whatever reason they still talk about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are so irrelevant, and I'm a New York
Bro, the
Knicks fan.
NBA is so irrelevant
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
and I'm a New York Knicks fan. Don't get me wrong, but they always want to beat up on the Knicks, always. And the Nets are the better team in New York. They don't talk about them at all because they're
Mhm.
not because they can't crap on the Nets because they got KD and Kyrie Irving and all that jazz. But they continuously crap on the New York Knicks, and I actually agree with that conspiracy theory, man. They're always talking about LA teams constantly, even when the Lakers
Mhm.
were terrible for so long. I get they were a big market, but they were constantly always talking about the Lakers.
And I do agree with the end of that statement. We always say that New York is the media market. I do think it's kind of shifted to the West Coast. Maybe it is LA now.
Yeah, yeah, it
And
is.
And he continues saying, "Don't believe me. Let's switch." This is Delano. Let's switch sports for proof. The Lakers, even during the rebuild, oh, you just said this, got more primetime games than any other team. They had 24 games televised and lost 20 of those 24 games.
And every year, even Max Kellerman, Mr. Giants fan on First Take, every time the Giants,
Giants fan.
yeah, back in the day when we had Odell Beckham and Saquon Barkley, we were getting primetime games. We were getting like even as a crappy team, we still got like 5 primetime games, and they were
Mhm.
all complaining about it. All complaining about it on First Take and ESPN. They're like, "Oh, how can a team like this get so many primetime games?" And I understand their point, but they just continuously keep going and ragging on the Giants, ragging on New York teams. So I agree. I'm a very big skeptic when it comes to conspiracy theories, but I do agree on that one. Wolves says
And
KB, my head coach, needs an offensive
high
coordinator.
school.
Should I try to get it? As long as you have the experience in coaching, man. You know, a lot of people think they can do it. Like I wanted to make my own playbook and scheme and become an offensive coordinator, but it's a very hard business, man. You have to know all the lingo, man. You have to have you have to be a protege to a coach to really
I'll
get in
tell
that
you,
business. But Wolves, hey, if you want to do it, man, work at it.
I'll tell you what, Wolves. You say if you are 17, I would advise you to start a little bit lower. Not I'm not doubting your skills or anything, but it's exactly like what KB says. There's a lot of lingo, and you got to have a lot of experience when it comes to it. Kind of the part of the reason why so much hate, like KB brought up, went to Joe Judge when he got the head coaching job over a candidate like Eric Bieniemy, because experience it is a prerequisite. I would say probably start over. I mean, start as maybe an offensive assistant and work your way up.
Yeah, I would say work your way up and make sure you have someone to learn under that knows offensive schemes and that also knows defensive schemes as well because you have to play against the defense. So you have to know what you're up against. But Wolves, hey man, anybody can do it. Plenty of people have been out there that start from nothing.
Delano.
in the coaching
Yo,
game.
Delano came through with a really nice question there. Which NFL team had the worst draft this season? Eagles. Eagles.
No, I
No,
you know
actually, Packers. Packers.
Packers had the worst draft in my
Packers.
opinion
Yeah.
because they did nothing to help themselves this year. Now I've been on record of saying this. I agree with the Jordan Love pick. I do. I actually gave that pick an A. I like
But
it.
it's every pick after that.
Right, who the hell? Running back was the least of your problems. Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones are probably one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL. I get they get hurt. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That draft was putrid. Oh my God. They got that guy out of Boston College. What was his name?
I don't even know.
That running back out of Boston College.
First round.
He
I'll tell you that.
Well, he went in the second, but he wasn't even supposed to go in the second.
He wasn't supposed
He
to
was
go
a
there.
fourth round. He was a fourth round grade on him, and they drafted him in the second round when they need a wide receiver. When
Aaron Jones.
When they had Denzel Mims on the board, they had a bunch of guys on the board. They
I'll
didn't
tell
even
you
get this before you continue.
up?
They didn't even draft a wide receiver. They didn't even draft. We're not even in the 7th round. They drafted like a whole offensive lineman, a bunch of offensive linemen that probably won't make the team.
I was about to say that they were not even good offensive linemen, by the way.
Oh my God.
I'll say this, man. You want to crap on the Giants for not taking a wide receiver? Hey, at least it wasn't our number one need. It was the number one need for the Packers.
Most definitely.
And I'll tell you this. I don't know, KB, if you checked out the Super Bowl hypothetical that I made. In that video, when I had to predict, which teams are going to make the playoffs in the NFC, I said I fully expect the Packers to miss the playoffs this year for a couple of reasons. One, they just got worse in the offseason. They lost defensive pieces. Of course, one of them coming over to the Giants and Blake Martinez. They had the worst draft by far. Did not help out Aaron Rodgers at all. Like, literally, all they needed to do was maintain the defense and then improve the offense. The defense declined, and the offense stayed the same.
Right.
And you tell me you don't fully expect Aaron Rodgers to, try and get back at them because he's done it in 2018 when he wanted Mike McCarthy gone. You tell me he doesn't want to get back at the Packers for they did kind of abandon him. Now one wide receiver, drafting a running back that wasn't needed, just having a terrible draft. Like, you combine that with the fact that the team just got worse. And last year, in my opinion, they were a weak 12-win team. I didn't believe in the Packers. I was surprised they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. But I really thought they were a weaker team than what their record said.
And on top of that too, I completely agree with you, by the way. And Johnny Does Sports, make sure you guys subscribe to him as well. He's also another video maker. He said the Falcons. I'll have to look that up real quick, but I know they drafted a corner that I was like, why did they draft him that high? Let me look at the Falcons draft right now. But another team that had a terrible draft was the Chicago Bears. They're still paying.
Bro, what are the Bears doing?
They're still paying for the mistake of drafting Mitch Trubisky. Let's keep in mind that they could have had Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson with the second overall pick, but that's neither here or there.
Nah, KB, just answer me this. What are they doing? They got like 5 tight ends on the roster.
Not only that, man, they're still paying for the Mitch Trubisky pick, and their first pick in the 2020 draft, I believe, was a 3rd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like 10 freaking million tight ends on the roster for whatever reason.
The Bears, bro. I don't know why Bears owners have not fired that GM. Like, I'll keep it real with you.
What was his name? Ryan Pace or something like that?
Yeah, I would have fired him after Patrick Mahomes won that MVP. Keeping it real with you, I would have fired him after that. Because Mr. Trubisky, yeah, he had an okay year in 2018, but everybody and their mom knows that he had an okay year in 2018 because the defense was out of this world.
Right.
He is what he is in 2017, and then it repeated in 2019.
Right. And by the way, guys, we're seeing a little bit of a spike in viewers. So if you guys are new here and you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure you guys hit that like button for me. It's going to help out the podcast a lot. Every week we're going to be rotating. This week it's on my channel. Next week it's going to be on the Hub's channel. So make sure you guys subscribe to the Hub. His link is in the description below. Make sure you guys also like the stream as well. And if you guys are new here by some stretch of the imagination, make sure you guys subscribe.
And by the way, Kid Blue said it earlier. If there's any of you all out there like Lestat, I mean, we're kind of looking for a logo for the young guns, man. Anybody with a creative bone in your body, either DM it to Kid Blue or DM it to me, and we'll see. We're looking for a logo for the podcast.
Yeah, guys, I'm tired of doing things myself because I have a supporter group now, so I don't have to make everything myself. I used to have to make my logos. I used to have to make all that and get my ideas from other people, from myself. Now I can do it, rely on other people. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to the Hub. And we're going over the Falcons draft real quick because Giant Does Sports is actually a Falcons fan. So I can understand why he probably hates his own draft. Round one, they drafted A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. I thought he is a first-round pick, but shouldn't have gone 16th overall. They drafted in round two Marlon Davidson out of Auburn. I like the pick. I mean, I thought they should have got a defensive tackle for years now. Matt Hennessy in the third round. That's a great pick. I love Matt Hennessy. Now I don't know who this guy is. Michael Walker, linebacker out of Fresno State. His body type looks like a edge rusher. He looks like, maybe not.
Let me know when you get to the fifth round.
Okay, in the fourth round we've got Jalen Hawkins, the safety. Don't even know who this guy is. And oh god, did they have a fifth round? It goes right to the seventh round.
So that's fine then, because
they drafted a punter.
In the seventh round?
Yeah, they drafted a punter in the seventh round. That's probably why he hates it. But I think the front end of the draft wasn't that bad.
Draft, though.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I like Matt Hennessy and I like Marlon Davidson. I really like both of those guys.
Terrell is a pretty good pickup, also maybe a little bit high.
They should have traded down. But
yeah, that's a pretty good draft. I mean, yeah, I'd be salty at a punter in the seventh also, but I was gonna say the reason I asked him to let me know when he hits the fifth round is because from fifth to seventh, realistically speaking, you're kind of throwing dots at a dart, at a board, really.
Yeah. At fifth to seventh round, you're really pretty much drafting for depth and potential guys to make your roster. I want to give a quick, huge shout out to Giants Alliance. Friend of the channel, I believe friend of the Hub's channel as well. Yep. We worked together in the past, and Giants Alliance, I'll be looking forward to making more content with you in the near future. He says, yo, what's up? How do you think Isaiah Simmons will do on the Cardinals? And I said this before. I'll start with this one. I said this before, that I think the Cardinals were... Remember, I predicted this during the draft. Nobody thought that Isaiah Simmons would go to the Cardinals if he dropped there. And right when we did that draft together, in the live stream, I said this right before the pick was made. I'm like, I think it's going to be Isaiah Simmons because
it literally just popped into your head.
Yes, and I think it's going to be because I was thinking completely on Hassan Reddick, the failed experiment out of Temple that they drafted like 11th overall in a couple years ago, that they wanted him to be what Isaiah Simmons is now. And I think he's going to have a decent year. I think they're going to line him up as inside linebacker, like exactly what Hassan Reddick was doing. And Hassan Reddick was more of an inside linebacker / edge rusher. I feel like Isaiah Simmons is more of a inside linebacker / safety. So I think he's going to be more in the coverage game than Hassan Reddick was. So I think Isaiah Simmons is going to have a fantastic rookie season. Is he going to rack up numbers to be defensive player of the year? I don't know, because tweeners, guys that are Swiss Army knives, really don't stay Swiss Army knives in the NFL. Jabril Peppers, a New York Giant, is one of them. Jabril Peppers was all over the field in Michigan. He went to the Browns. He played a little free safety and strong safety, but once he had his second year with the Browns and then eventually with the New York Giants, he strictly played strong safety, strictly played in the slot as a box safety. So, I think these Swiss Army knives really just find one job in the NFL. But I think Isaiah Simmons is going to have a pretty good rookie season. I'll give the spotlight to you, Hup.
I agree with you. And I got this entire opinion from listening to you that night on draft night when you brought up the fact about Hassan Reddick and about how the Cardinals have tried this before. Well, this time they just have a way better player, somebody that's actually fit for it. I expect him to have a good rookie year. I mean, even if he wasn't with the Cardinals, it's not like we talked about Isaiah Simmons for months on both of our channels for no reason. He was coming in as one of the best players in the draft. I expect him to have a good rookie season. What I'm wondering is with that Cardinals defense currently, right? The current defensive coordinator and stuff that they have, it's not the same one that they tried with Hassan Reddick and whatnot. So I do wonder how they're going to use him, because we haven't seen many true Swiss Army knives in the NFL. Even though Isaiah Simmons should be used as a true Swiss Army knife, I think it would be criminal to just post them at either just linebacker or just safety. I got to see how they actually use them, because it is a different defensive coordinator.
Right, I completely agree. And yeah, we'll see, because Swiss Army knives really never stay Swiss Army knives in the NFL. It's very rare that they, Tyrann Mathieu is probably one of the guys that does that, and maybe Darnell Savage as well. I've seen Darnell Savage watching Green Bay film when I was watching Kyler Fackrell and Blake Martinez. I've seen a lot of Darnell Savage, the safety, play a lot of linebacker as a smaller safety. So there are some guys that move around the field. It's usually the smaller guys. It's never usually like the linebackers. It's usually the guys that are like little torpedoes like Tyrann Mathieu, Buda Baker, those two small guys, exactly what I see for Antoine Winfield when he plays with the Bucks. So those guys are really pretty much the Swiss Army knives, not the linebackers. I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be an extremely athletic linebacker. Just I don't think they're going to put him at a Swiss Army knife role because college defenses are completely different than NFL defenses.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Patrick Torres, he says, the Hub, are you a Giants fan? Joined the stream not that long ago. Go ahead and answer that, man.
I am a very big Giants fan, my man. Definitely go in the description, click on it, and check my channel out. Subscribe if you want to. I'm not gonna force you, but
No, I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Subscribe to the Hub. His content is, to be honest, man, his content in his first. How long have you been doing YouTube seriously?
Seriously, it's literally only been probably a year.
Right, a year doing it seriously. He's already killing it as far as his numbers go, and on top of that, as far as his content goes, it's not just about the numbers. His content is very watchable, guys. You will watch throughout the whole video. He's not dull. He's not boring. He has the commentary style that a lot of people like. So he's killing it out there, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Hub, and this podcast, the Young Guns podcast, will be on his channel next week, Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So he just subbed. He just earned himself another
man.
sub, Hub. So yeah.
And you know what? You do that. I gotta reciprocate it, man. If you guys, and I'm sure all of you are sub to Kid Blue, but fun fact for those of you that don't know, Kid Blue was like probably the main inspiration for me starting my channel. I used to come on to Kid Blue's call-in streams. And the fact that I could have a conversation with this dude right here, and it made me realize, hey, maybe I can do what he does. And the dude has helped me a lot throughout my entire YouTube, YouTubing on here. Like even just like last night or yesterday, I was texting him for help. Like Kid Blue, the Hub would not exist without Kid Blue. I'll tell you that.
I did that. I actually appreciate it. And guys, we build off of each other. I was just asking him about editing tips as well a couple of days ago as well. We're building off of each other, man, and hopefully this podcast goes somewhere. But we have some great chemistry, man. I'll tell you that right now. We definitely know we're talking about being as young as we are too. I think we both have that cultural relativity with each other. So it's different than if I was working with a guy like 30 years older than me, like an old school Giants fan. It's a lot better. That's why we call it the Young Guns podcast. We're young guns out there, man. We know what we're talking about, and we're firing some hot takes out here, man. But Board and Arrow.
Wolves, yo, I see Wolves real quick. I see Wolves asking several times for the ASMR, man.
Golly, it's not gonna happen right now, Wolves. Not gonna happen, man. Not on the podcast, man. We're trying to stick to a little bit professional out here, man. I don't want to arouse anybody. But I don't want to make the Hub uncomfortable too, because he's in here as well.
By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm pretty sure I was the one. I think I was the very first person to ask for that in one of your call-in shows.
Yeah, so the Hub originated off of it, man. But Board and Arrow, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys another young YouTuber as well that I think really deserves a lot more love, man. If you guys watch Board and Arrow, he works very hard on his videos as well. I think you guys should go subscribe to him. I like his content. I enjoy his content. I watch whenever I'm able to. And I'll tell you right now, he does not disappoint. And he is a very, very dedicated video maker. Board and Arrow, he is always putting out videos constantly and consistently and always has the same amount of quality in his content. I can't say enough for Board and Arrow. I think he has some very good takes as well. Make sure you guys subscribe to Board and Arrow. Check him out. He's also a Giants fan. Also occasionally talks some broad NFL. And I seriously think you guys should give him a watch as well. So the Hub, make sure you guys subscribe to the Hub, and make sure you guys subscribe to Board and Arrow as well, and also Giants Alliance. A lot of YouTubers in here as well. Mm-hmm. But he asks, if Garrett leaves in 2021, do you think Nagy would be a good option? Well, I'll let you start with that one, Hub. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. I wish Garrett doesn't leave because I love Garrett in this offense. But if Garrett leaves and Nagy is an option, and that means Nagy is out of the Bears. He's with the Bears, right?
Nagy is the head coach for the Bears, yeah.
Well, if Nagy's there, yeah. I actually wanted Nagy as our offensive coordinator a couple years back when we got on with Pat Shurmur and the crew. I would love Matt Nagy on this team. I just don't know. His offense is different from what we're going into. The thing I'm thinking about right now is that's going to be three offensive coordinators in Daniel Jones's like first 5 years, kind of similar to the Derek Carr situation. That's what I'm worried about. But Nagy would definitely be more than a good replacement.
Yeah, and that's something that worries me as well with Jason Garrett's resume. He's going to be looked at to get another head coaching job elsewhere. So I know a lot of people were concerned about Daniel Jones' growth, but it's gonna happen either way. He's gonna have to go through another system at some point because Jason Garrett will find another job somewhere else. And in my opinion, Matt Nagy would be an option because I think his time is very limited there in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But I think the Giants are going to try to hire from within and try to keep Daniel Jones under the same scheme. And the quarterback coach, Jerry Shaplinsky, someone that Chris the Entertainer Talking Sports talks about a lot.
I love him.
Yeah. Everybody talks about him. Everybody loves him. And so I think he would be the first candidate to take the mantle as the next offensive coordinator. And I think it would be a very good job, a very good idea to hire from within and keep Daniel Jones accustomed to the same scheme. Now, it doesn't exactly mean that Shaplinsky runs the same scheme as Jason Garrett, but I think he would take it in the best interest for Daniel Jones to run the same thing. So I think he would model his game after what Jason Garrett did. So I think Shaplinsky should be the guy to take the mantle at offensive coordinator instead of bringing in Matt Nagy, who was coming from Chicago and is really trying to make his name known. And if Matt Nagy, who used to be a head coach, if he does well with the Giants, he will be gone as well. So you kind of look at just a huge ripple effect, a huge pattern in Matt Nagy if he becomes offensive coordinator, because the same thing would happen if he's successful with the Giants.
I agree. You know what? Just to answer Wolves before he spams the chat anymore, listen, I would tell the story, but I got family in the room, so can't exactly do that right now.
Oh man, yeah. So I think we all know where we're going there. And huge shout out, by the way, huge shout out to Chris Sonor. That is my son. If you guys didn't know, I had him when I was just 11 years old.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
wilding in these streets, man.
Yeah, I was a wild child, to say the least, and Chris Sonor's my long lost son. But Chris Sonor, huge Chargers fan, and actually a very smart young kid, man. I like Chris Sonor a lot, man. So I appreciate you joining in the stream, Chris.
John Doe, this is actually, he says, do you think Mara held off the rebuild, and Gettleman gets the heat, or is it just me? I don't know if you remember this kid, Blue. I think it was the first time I had you on the channel. Mm-hmm. This exact topic came up when we were talking about them, and I think we both agreed, we would lose complete faith in ownership if it is the case that they're trying to get Gettleman fired, because it's just not going to end well. Gettleman has been good enough, and you don't want to restart with a new GM or whatnot. But this topic came up like between me and you a couple times before. Do you think Mara held off the rebuild and he wants Gettleman to get the heat?
Yeah. One thing I will tell you is that I don't know if he wants I don't think if he's trying to get rid of Dave Gettleman. I think he's just saying, hey, make this fall on your shoulder, because I don't want any media attention saying, sell the team like James Dolan is just across the way with the New York Knicks. So I definitely believe that Dave Gettleman would have rebuilt this team in the right way. You see what he did with the Carolina Panthers. He did it the right way over there with the Carolina, and I'm pretty sure he had the whole team to himself. Over there in New York in his first year, I completely think that he was trying to win because of Mara, and especially Steve Tisch. I think a lot of people are talking about Mara. I think Mara, it was old school. I think he's more patient with the Giants. It's Steve Tisch. Steve Tisch, if you look at all the articles, Steve Tisch was the guy to be more aggressive, saying that he wants to win, and certain precautions are gonna, certain things are gonna have to be said and done. Steve Tisch is really the guy.
Co-owner? When did he become a co-owner?
I believe right before we won I believe he won both. He was also a co-owner during both the Super Bowl runs. I believe so. But I
know, technically speaking, he would be a recent co-owner.
Yeah. So I think he's been there a little bit. But Steve Tisch is getting impatient, and I don't think it should just be on Mara. But completely agree. It was ownership, and we talked about this on that podcast at one point. Ownership is going to kill this team. I think Dave Gettleman is the least of this team's problems. I think it's ownership the most. They're trying to set a new thing here. Like they're trying to regain the trend of winning, and I don't think they really know how modern day football is made right now. You have to rebuild. You have to build a foundation.
A great example with the Browns, if you want to bring that back up. I don't know if you remember what you said.
Yeah.
With the Browns and trying to reclaim glory days.
Right. The Browns back in the 80s, they were they never won a championship, but they did back in the day, but they were pretty good in the 80s. They were constantly in AFC competitions. They constantly made AFC championship games. And the Browns were at one point great. And I think the Browns, ever since they've lost that, they've been trying to get back to that. You look at the Browns, they're constantly hiring and firing GMs, coaches, cycling through quarterbacks. They're trying to find they basically pressing the random button on everything. Like they're playing the slot machine. They've been playing the slot machine for so long, where they're trying to get a match that they can work with for such a long time, that they're not sticking with their guys. They're hiring and firing guys, and also they're hiring and firing GMs, coaches, and quarterbacks at different points in time. Instead of firing all three guys, like a quarterback and GM and coach, at the same time, and trying to hire all those guys at the same time and draft those guys at the same time and rebuild with them, they're like firing the GM one year, then firing a coach the next year, then getting a new quarterback the other year. You cannot build a team like that. And I think the Giants eventually are going to get to that point where they're going to try to get to the glory days and rush their team and have like a microwave type of effect where they just put the team in for 2 years and say, hey, I hope it's done. I hope we have a successful team. But
Exactly.
The Giants are definitely turning into the Browns if they don't shapen up their act because of ownership.
Wolf says, KB, aren't you still like 11 though?
I tend to think I found the fountain of youth, so I take it as a compliment. But yeah, maybe,
Exactly.
maybe, who knows? But I'm 22 right now.
And I'm even younger than him. I'm only 19.
Yeah, young guns, baby, young guns.
Exactly. I have to be off soon. I don't want to end it because
Right. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize the time, man. I have to work tomorrow. Oh man. But actually, yeah, I think this is actually a good time to wrap it up. I think we had a really good conversation, really good podcast. We're going on for just about 2 hours now, and I've been loving the stream. This was a really good stream, better than most, and I appreciate you guys joining in. We had a decent amount of viewers throughout, and I know that Bad Dog was live as well, so I appreciate everybody that stuck in. I know Bad Dog had a really good stream with like a bunch of NFC East video makers. I appreciate you guys coming in and deciding to watch us instead. So thank you guys so much.
Anybody that tunes in, you guys are amazing for the fact that you take your time out to come and watch us talk football. Amazing.
I think it's a huge appreciation for you guys. I have a huge appreciation for you guys. But John Doe quickly says, is it me or does Thomas remind you of DeBrickashaw Ferguson? That's who he reminded me of in college. I never watched DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I believe he was a New York Jets offensive tackle. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm
gonna keep it real with you. I don't know who that is.
I think he was a New York Jets tackle. But Nerding Out Sports says, great stream, fellas. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Hub?
Well, thank you once again to all y'all that tuned in, everybody that donated. You guys are helping out Kid Blue's channel. You're helping out the stream in general by liking it up. I see we got 41 likes. That one person who disliked, we're gonna find them and we're gonna take care of them. Don't worry about that. It's gonna help out in the YouTube algorithm. It actually does. I know every YouTuber says that, and you guys probably don't know what it means, but like it's actually a thing, the YouTube algorithm. And the more likes it gets, it's a flawed system, but the more it's gonna be recommended to other people. And we want the stream to get bigger. And you guys, we appreciate all you tuning in, all you guys in here. And next week, it'll be on my side. Don't forget.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to the Hub if you guys want to keep up with the Young Guns podcast. Next week, it will be on his channel. And quickly, guys, share this podcast. Share our videos. Share my videos. Share the Hub's videos, especially when he's live on the Young Guns podcast. Share it because how the YouTube algorithm works, and like Hub said, a lot of you guys don't even know what that means. But it basically, with the more traffic a video or stream has, it will be recommended to more people foreign to the channel. So if also what helps out the algorithm in tremendous ways, if you guys share this stream and people click on it from external links, if people click on it from Twitter, if people click on it from an Instagram link, if people click on it from anything that is foreign to YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, even whatever it is. And if somebody clicks on it, it's gonna help the algorithm in a tremendous way. And if you guys share the stream, you guys will be helping in a huge way. So Wolf says kid 2.4 GPA blue. Yeah, that's completely right, man. That's what I graduated with. But look, I'm out here in the YouTube game.
Look at this man, bro. He got his own house. Do you think that matters?
Yeah, you think that matters? I laugh at my teachers. I laugh at them. All right, because I probably have a better career than they do. So yeah. Your final thoughts, hubby? Did you say everything you had to say?
I guess the one thing else I have to see is I'll see you there, John. Though he says he'll see me in the Madden streams. He's kind of been my offensive coordinator in my Madden streams.
OC out, yeah. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining in the stream. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys stick around next week on the Hubs channel. Make sure you guys like before you leave. Subscribe if you guys are new, and we'll see you guys on the next stream. See you guys later.